The Team Never Quit podcast is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. This Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal wants to celebrate and thank all of their members who go above and beyond. So go check out NavyFederal.org to find out all the information and how they can help you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching, and please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button wherever you are getting this show. So today, before we dive into our guest, let's kick it off with our weekly Patreon question. This week, we've got, what is your favorite, all-time favorite activity to do on a nice, sunny summer day?
Probably hit the lake. Be on the water.
Yeah, I'd probably say go to the beach, play some beach
water.
volleyball, get out in the water.
Yeah, pool, whatever the
friends.
water is, being by the water for sure.
With a bunch of friends, good music, and food, barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking fish and worms in a
Bait
closed
caster.
face
Yeah.
Zebco reel,
Yeah.
sitting in the shade looking for sunfish.
Easy fishing.
Easy fishing. for
Freaking
sure.
closed face Zebco, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, that's that easy fishing.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. I'm beginning to do woodworking, but that doesn't make sense for a nice sunny day. You should be outside. But
Unless
that's
you're cutting a tree down.
yeah, there you go.
I don't know if I trust you with the chainsaw. Have you ever run one before?
That's a
I
great
might
point.
have a couple injuries related to power tools. Yeah, but it's therapeutic. It's good. We were
Fair
talking
enough.
about that earlier. Just the art, like finding
Yeah.
finding an outlet. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's crazy what team guys get into, man.
Mm-hmm.
Woodworking's one of them.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Same with you, lake, water.
I said beach.
Yeah,
Going
beach.
out to the beach, playing some volleyball
Yeah.
or some
High five, low five.
Yeah,
In jeans, no shirts, dog tags.
exactly.
Yeah.
Straight up Top Gun.
Top Gun style.
That was invented for a reason to show us how you're supposed to do it.
That's right. It's instructional.
All right, yeah, that was a good one. All right, guys, thanks for doing this, man. We would like to start this. We'll get a little bit about your backstory. All of our listeners love hearing from teen guys. So to have three of us in the room, man, it's going to be a good time for sure.
Yeah.
Age before beauty. So
All right.
we're going to talk. Where were you born, man? Where'd you come from?
Well, first I want to say thank the Lord for this opportunity. You know, with these amazing people. You know, Brad, Marcus, Melanie, Hunter, y'all family. Eden's down here at my feet. Hopefully she comes up here. It all began in a little town in West Virginia called Hedgesville. 307 strong until we moved out. About 10 years living there. I grew up in the same house my dad grew up in. He was number 6 of 13 kids. So it was a classic West Virginia house in town, colder inside in the winter than it was outside in the winter, hotter inside. So we spent a lot of time outdoors, working on cars, piddling around.
Any coal miners?
No, we're in Apple
Okay, because
country.
I was going to say, man, that, your family's the reason the stories exist, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. We're in Apple country. Used to be, but my folks are both teachers. I was number 4 or 5 kids, and education. I had 3 things that happened in my life: education, athletics, and hard work. It's all we did.
It's all American.
Yep, totally, 100%. It was awesome. I had sometimes my wife's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, how do you understand what's going on right now?" I'm like, because I had like the perfect childhood. Like I was want for nothing. You know, we all sat at the table every night, all 7 of us, said grace, had dinner. Sometimes we cleaned up.
Oh, you had a great family.
We had a great family. Yeah, my parents
nice, man.
were absolutely fabulous. I really
Still got
got
'em?
blessed. No, mom and dad made it to heaven.
All right, cool.
But there's 4 of us. 4 of us still on this side of the dirt, and I got amazing siblings too. They're absolutely outstanding.
Any other military?
Yeah, my little brother, my younger brother, he also went to the Naval Academy, and
That's how we met, actually.
yeah, my brother and he were in the same company, 9th Company.
Oh, right on.
We set to fall of 97. It was it's 96.
96 we started together, yeah. Well, we were
97, you guys were
we
youngsters.
shotgunned into 97, yeah.
So I've known him since fall 97. He and Dwayne my brother Dwayne and he were in the same company at Navy.
Yep.
I was 9th Company 2 years before we got shotgunned again. But that's a different story.
How'd that get on your radar? And did you want to be a Navy SEAL from a young age, or did it just Naval Academy? How'd that happen?
Both great questions. Naval Academy happened because Dwayne and I, my older brother, older by 5 years, was going to play baseball at the academy. He ended up getting recruited and playing at College of Charleston, South Carolina. But on a recruiting trip to Navy, my brother and I went with him, and we're walking around the yard and looking at the O course, and Matt's getting the walk and the talk. My folks are there. My brother and I are just boys, so I think that was the summer of, must have been the summer of '87. So I would have been 11, and Dwayne would have been 9. And I remember we were just mucking about, and one of the buildings there is called Mahan Hall. And it's like all marble face. It's got old pictures of like Don't Give Up the Ship, like all these amazing, I think Don't Give Up Ship's in Memorial Hall. But there's all kinds of old, like just memorabilia, and it looks really amazing. Dwayne and I are sitting there. I was like, maybe we should come here. And Dwayne's like, man, it sounds like a good idea.
I didn't really let guys from West Virginia in.
I didn't either.
They have waivers.
Well, and that was it. Like we decided that on that day we were going to go there. But I guess it was kind of like a preamble. My big brother Top Gun came out, and like he wanted to fly jets, and led him to.
That changed everybody's life.
He did.
That friggin' movie.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise. Thank you. I mean, that guy.
100%. So, the next 7 years kind of bumbled by. Again, my folks were teachers. My siblings were I got a sister who is like I think she maxed out the SAT and the ACT. Like,
wow.
Like we're talking like Mensa savant.
Okay.
Like she's so smart she's dumb. Like that kind of dumb.
Hard to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew something was wrong with me when I went to, like, my teachers were. I was kind of a pain in the ass in 6th grade, but I went to the county math field day and got 1st place, and went to regional and got 2nd place, and went to state, and I was like number 8 math student as a 6th grader. My teacher's like, what? And she's like, it's always been there. I'm like, yeah, I'm just a little bit wild. Anyway, so I got really lucky. A couple schools I was looking at, like Carnegie Mellon, Brown, Holy Cross, and Virginia Tech, and of course WVU. But I got the nomination and appointment to the Naval Academy, and I literally fell off a turnip truck.
For academics? For what would you go in there for? They pick you up for anything in particular? You just
Well, I went there to play football.
Gotcha.
But I was academically, like, I was lucky. I had like a 4.4. I was number 10 in the class at school. My SATs were pretty high. Like I was in the mix, and I thought, and you think you're pretty smart, and you get to Navy, and you're like, oh man, there's some smart kids. Like John Snavely was one of my plebe summer, company mates, platoon mates actually. He was in Bridget's squad. Anyway, Snavely, like, he validated his entire freshman year. Like, there's a series of tests you take, and I think I had some AP classes in high school. Nah, that didn't count for nothing. I got to take the full complement. But John Snavely, like, validated his entire plebe year. So I realized that, like, wow, there's some really, really smart people in this world.
Yeah.
And as far as your question about when I wanted to be a SEAL, like, I wrote a letter. I wanted to fly F-18s in the Marine Corps. Like, I wanted to be a jet pilot. And I got the Navy. Actually, when I got to Navy, between 7th grade and the Naval Academy was their first Gulf War, and we saw the battleships, right, doing their work. When I showed up there, I wanted to be a battleship driver. So day one of plebe summer, like, what do you want to do, Donaldson? I'm like, I want to be a CO of a battleship. They're like, well, they're all decommissioned. You better find something else. I'm like, really? I don't even know what else it is in the Navy. But our company officer was a Force Recon Marine, Captain Pete. He was awesome, stone cold. I was like, all right, Marine Corps. We went doing the Marine Corps, and so that was my mindset, And I had good eyesight and my numbers are good. So if you went to TBS on a aviation contract, if you didn't want to go aviation, you could hand it off to someone who didn't get out of OCS or whatever. So that was my mind. And then in the spring of my plebe year, I went to the Brigade Championship boxing tournament. I never boxed before. My old man used to. We watched all the old boxers, like Sugar Ray Leonard's, Muhammad Ali's, like
Sugar Ray, man.
Yeah,
we just lost Foreman.
I know.
Yeah, what a tragedy,
man.
God.
He was awesome.
What a monster, man.
And I box heavyweight. I would not step in the ring with George Foreman. It'd be good.
I saw him box at the Naval Academy, and I will never forget, dude, watching you come in, and you would just drop your right arm into this, like, I don't know, it was like a hook, a cross or something, but you could see you load up. And I remember just watching from the top of the stands when he connected with this dude. Everyone just, the whole audience, oh, it's a powerful.
That's how you know you got a good one, man, when everyone reacts. What year was this?
So this was the fall of 95.
So
Or spring 95.
Yeah, it's back in the 1900s.
Yeah. Yeah, 1900. Right, 1900.
Man.
So
That's funny.
Yeah, but it was in color, though.
It was in color.
All right.
I saw Chandler Comerford win a brigade championship. He went on to win a national championship, and he was a captain of the boxing team, and he got selected for SEALs. And I was like, I want to do that. So I went to Dick Hoffman, who was a company officer at the Navy, still friend, confidant, mentor, the original LT. And I went and talked to him. Went in his office. I'm like, hey, sir, midshipman fourth class Donaldson. That was my rank, midshipman fourth class. Probably my greatest rank ever. I says to him, I was like, I'm from a small town in West Virginia. I want to go SEALs, but I don't swim very well. He's like, well, I'm from a small town in Kansas. And when I got here, I couldn't swim at all. So it's really up to you.
Get to it.
And that was it. I saw Chandler do the boxing thing. Talked to Lieutenant Hoffman. Bridget Stamp Ruiz was one of my classmates, and she used to take me to that little piss pool in McDonough Hall.
Oh yeah.
And just beat me.
It's like a cave.
It was terrible. Like I would barf. I'd probably go like 100 meters and I'd be barfing in the troughs there. Like I was, and she she's like, you're a terrible swimmer. I'll make you
straight up.
I'll make you
Not going to sugarcoat this.
You're a terrible stunt man.
I'll make you a functional terrible swimmer. But that summer I went on a cruise with, it was me, Cy Millay, Dave Silverman, JT Merchant, Tom Ogden, and do this thing called YP cruise. So if you think about it, like a normal person, did you do YPs?
Yeah.
All right, good. I think it was 14 mids on there or something like that.
I'm like 2 years behind you, dude.
No, but I'm wondering if you did it because some people did the CSTS.
Oh, they got like a waiver. Yeah, or did something else.
Did the sailing
Yeah,
thing.
no, I did YPs, yeah.
I mean, swimmers, you guys had it easy, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
You could have mailed it all in. So anyway, I'm on the YP cruise. So we're talking 19-year-old kids get, what is it? You should know the YP weapons fore to aft, but I think it's like 107 feet long, whatever the YP is. Ours was YP 694, call sign Echo 5 November. Why I remember that?
How do you remember that?
Because I do. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
I blame my folks. But 15, freshmen from college, they put you on a boat. They give you one upperclassman. They give you one officer, and they give you one chief. And there's some folks that run the engine room. But other than that, it's the 15 of us on this wooden yacht, and they said go. So we left Annapolis, go up through the Ches Bay, take the intercoastal we went to New York City first. Then you hit Boston, and you go all the way up to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and then you come all the way back to Annapolis. And you do everything, like all the dead reckoning, everything that needs to happen to make that ship get there safely. You do. It's pretty amazing.
It was a cool experience. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
But I made 2 promises to 2 friends on there. I met Cy Millay, who we ended up boxing together. Cy was on the boxing team. I'd seen him in the brigade championships, and then I met. I think Cy lost to Chandler in the championship. The guy that was a team captain, All-American, Navy SEAL candidate. And so I met Cy and Dave Silverman. And Cy and I made a promise that we'd be on the boxing team. And when we were firsties, meaning when we were seniors, we'd be captains of the boxing team. So I made Cy that promise. I said we would win a national championship and we'd be team captains on the boxing team together. Then Dave Silverman, he wanted to be a SEAL since he was a sperm. Like he was... like all in, and he wanted to go.
He played water polo.
He would play water polo. He was going to go to the teams and we'll go be SEAls together, Dave.
Those guys are a different kind of swimmer.
Dude, he had
And
his
different kind of
shoulders were
shape.
like
Those
bowling
freaking
balls.
those water
I mean,
polo.
just-
Jason Pace had that, dude.
Yeah,
He's
well,
kinda
Jason Pace is a freak of nature.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So through a series of fortunate events, I joined the boxing team that fall, and I boxed 172 the first year, and 180, and I lost to John Bradley in the brigade championship. He broke my nose in the first round. They had stopped the match. I had just given John his first standing 8 count, and I walked in like I was gonna his first one ever. He's returned national champion, and Jobu we call him Jobu, and he was an absolutely amazing boxer. And I walk back in. He's still kind of like wavering. I'm like, I want to get him. So I start laying into him, and I learned why when you bring that jab back, don't drop it. Because I was like 1, 2, 1, and on the way into my second 2, he slipped and threw it right down the pipe and just smashed my nose. I finished the round. I'm like, why is my shirt all wet? I look down, I'm just covered in blood. And Junior Ortiz, remember Major Ortiz?
Mm-hmm.
Junior Ortiz grabs my nose, he's like,
Oh
it was broken so bad that it had like bubbles coming out of the ridge of my nose. He's like, that's it. But I stayed on that following fall. I stayed on the team that spring as a punching bag, and we won a national championship. And I wasn't technically on the team, but I was part of the team. It's nice having that osmosis being around just boxers, like being around other team guys or SF guys or whatever. Like you're just around that camaraderie. It was just there.
Fighter culture.
Yeah, so they elevated my game, taught me humility. And that fall, just before Christmas break, Jim McNally, who you met Coach McNally. You remember Jim McNally?
I remember
boxing
the name,
coach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Little Mick bastard. He says to me, he's like, yo, JD, he's from South Philly. He'd been coaching there since '87. Dick Hoffman was one of his first boxers. He's like, yeah, JD. He's like, we need to find ourselves a heavyweight. And I'm walking around. My walk around weight's like 182, and probably between 75 and 82. If you're in boxing, you're in pretty good shape. And I was like, yeah, we need to find us a heavyweight. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, you're the heavyweight. He's like, I need you to be 190 pounds plus by the time Christmas is over. I'm like, really? He's like, did I stutter? I'm like, no, sir. So that was it. I went home, and that's when I learned about creatine and eating lots of food, and I made weight. And that spring, I was able to win a national championship as a heavyweight. So it's easier boxing big guys, much easier.
Really?
Oh yeah, as long as you don't get clipped, you're good because they get tired fast. So I won nationals that year, and actually I won the first round. Lost the second round. It was at Navy. You would have been there. It was in Halsey Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
And Dick Hoffman pulls me in the corner. He's like, that second round was garbage. He's like, you need to win the third round. You need to win it big. I'm like, yes, sir. So I went out, and Dennis Maley from Shippensburg just got it all, man. I put it all out there and ended up winning. Like this old gunnery sergeant who was the referee. I didn't know about this trick until I felt this trick. Let me see your wrist, Brad. So he comes out.
Let me break
Seems
your
like
wrist.
a bad
real quick.
idea.
No, center of the ring for the decision because we didn't knock the guy out. Me and Dennis just went. He gave me this little squeeze. And I'm gonna get misty here as I'm looking at my mom. When he gave me that squeeze and he raised my hand up, I'm like, and all I could do was just lower my head and just humility because it was all there. Anyway, repeat performance the following spring, I won a second national championship as a heavyweight, and and then I got fortunate enough to be with the right folks. Silverman, Ruiz, and I was there with. I think old Blake Cheney was there with us, and Stig Sanis were in mini bloods together that summer after my junior year. After nationals, went to the mini buds, and then because I did Leatherneck first because I was just wanting to check the Marine Corps block.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. Then I show up in mini buds with my head shaved and just a total like complete animal mode. And we had a great time in mini buds and went really well. And then you go through different wickets, right? You got to go through your first interview to see if you can be a Naval Marine Corps officer. And you go through your spec war interview. And Campion, Commander Campion was the detailer there. And that interview went really well. And I attribute it to before the interview, I sat out on the piano, and I don't play very well, but I played the music box dancer, for like 5 minutes before I walked in. It totally like brought me back to my childhood and just helped me be me. That interview went really well, and I got picked up for a bud slot, and
Never look back.
that was it. Yeah,
You say Reeves, talking about Coleman?
Coleman Riz. Yep. Animal.
Great dude.
Total animal.
Great fucking guy,
He was
man.
one of the kind of the legends of our generation
Dude.
of team guys coming up, and then shook the whole world when he decided, hey, I'm not going to keep going. When he left the team, so everyone was shocked.
Well, it's interesting because Coleman was a captain of the wrestling team. I was a captain of the boxing team. We made agreement that we'd never fight, but we always fight for each other. And I won on that because Coleman would get a hold of me, tie me in a knot. We're talking spladles out the door. But
Dude.
two people that were very formative in both of our upbringing was Doug Zimbeck was a wrestling team captain when Coleman was a plebe, and Chandler Cumberford was a boxing team captain when I was a plebe. So those two, like, absolute amazing men, were the formative stages of both me and Coleman. And Ruiz.
Fucking great.
He's actually, Big Ugly 1. I'm Big Ugly 2. Like, technically,
That makes sense.
it's a real thing.
I concur.
Brad, where were you born?
Born in Central Florida, just outside of Orlando. Yeah, I mean, same kind of backstory with family, real positive family. What's interesting is I hear there's a common theme that a lot of team guys have complex father figure issues, but I didn't. Very supportive family, kind of born and raised, grew up there, met my now
Well, good
wife.
for you.
Yeah, I know. I don't mean to brag. I'm not bragging about it. Like, just very fortunate.
I have found, because I've heard both, but it seems like officers don't.
Oh, that's interesting.
They have good dads. And more of the enlisted guys are the ones that have not bad dads by any means.
Sure.
Marcus,
Just rough.
I mean, yeah, just tough
He's just tough as
as
shit.
nails
Yeah.
dads.
Yeah.
He's a great father. I love him to death.
Yeah.
Freaking worship that man. He's just tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, he was great. He grew up from a broken family, so he wanted to be the opposite and just give us this very stable growth, kind of like family environment, hard worker. I mean, first Geary to ever go to college, put himself through by like paying for it out of pocket in night school, like raised us. And then he got same thing with his master's, first Geary to ever get a master's degree. Same thing, just worked during the day, night school at night, just always working, taught us very, very, very strong work ethic. And, but yeah, I grew up swimming, so not fighting. And I think that's one of the things that ended up drawing me into the teams was this kind of desire for like, I think I'm missing something as I look back and think through my, how that happened. But I ended up at the Naval Academy.
Trombone player though, right?
Trumpet. Come on.
You're a trumpet player?
Yeah, man.
I'm a
You were in the
trumpet
band?
player.
Yeah, dude.
And like in high school?
Oh yeah, I was first chair trumpet.
The whole time?
I was
Well, I
second.
mean,
I was second chair trumpet.
So what's funny
Is that true?
Yeah, dude, it's Muscular lips. I mean, telling you.
Yeah, you can tell now.
I know. Now you see it.
Now that I noticed,
Now you can't unsee
now
it.
I can't
You'll be
unsee
looking
that.
at you'll be staring at my lips the whole time now.
That's right.
Yeah. No, what was funny was I was big into swimming and big into music. I loved playing trumpet. And then in high school, though, our band, you had to be in the marching band also. But in Florida, the marching band obviously coincides with football season, and that interfered with swim season as well. Just they were aligned in Florida.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so I wasn't able to do both. But my swim coach for the first 2 years of high school was really cool. And he said, "Hey, man, do your marching band practice, and then I'll leave the pool unlocked. And I'll leave the workout on the screen. And so you just show up and do the workout and call it a day." So these were like ridiculously long days. I was getting home like 8, 9 o'clock at night, just starting homework, falling asleep in every class. And so after 2 years, I'm like, this is not sustainable. And I told my band coach at the time, band instructor, I said, "Hey, how about let's negotiate? I love playing. Let me play in the concert band, but I can't do marching anymore. There's too much to do at all." He would not bend. And I was like, "Man, dude, like my swim coach has been bending for 2 years and you're just being draconian." And he's like, "Nope, it's all or nothing." And I said, "Well, then it's nothing." And I walked out, quit the band that day, and went into swimming full time. Worked out for me because I ended up being a state champion by the time I was a senior. And then the Naval Academy recruited me for swimming. And I didn't even know what...
That's how they got you.
That's how they got me. I didn't even know what it was, which is funny. I'm like, Naval Academy, what do they do? Teach you how to drive boats? Like, this seems dumb.
Right? I mean, we didn't know about
I
it.
had no idea,
I knew
man.
anything.
Yeah, and I didn't come from a military family too much. A couple here and there, but nothing serious. So I just had no idea. But thank God my swim coach was a history teacher. He's like, whoa, Brad, this is one you want to look into. Write them back, get some information. And so the more information I got about
You got a
it.
good teacher too then.
Yeah, he was great.
That's
Oh, he was great. That guy was, I mean, other than my father, there's a couple father-like figures in my life growing up. The swim coach is one. My youth pastor is another one.
Yeah. One of my history teachers is one that changed my life too.
Dude, teachers and coaches, like, you can't underestimate the value they have.
I hope they never do.
I hope they never do. And I hope they realize how many lives they've changed for the better. The ones that care about it and really pour in, they probably never get that feedback, or they definitely don't get it enough.
Probably ever.
Yeah.
I never told mine.
I told a few of mine. I reached back, was like, "Hey,
I haven't
thank
even
you."
seen them. But I mean, he probably told me that stuff when it wasn't even a big deal to him. He just nonchalantly threw that at me, and that was a game changer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. These life-changing moments that some people, you just never know what words you say. You know, I mean, he told me, I'll never forget. I think it was about the time I left the marching band. He's like, "Brad, if you commit," my swim coach, he said, "Brad, if you commit to me, I will make you a state champion by your senior year."
Aww.
He's like, "But you got to put in the work. You ready?" I'm like, "All right, let's go." And true to form.
Both
I would
of
say
my-
cool like that. I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, swimming, not the coolest sport, I guess, but
Whatever, man. Brutal.
but
married-
brutal.
I mean,
And
not as cool
it-
as marching band.
I married a
Sure,
swimmer.
dude.
Like,
yeah.
it's funny, Laura and the boys would be bemoaning some kind of effort they have to do for whatever sport they're doing. She's like, when I was your age, I was getting up at 4:00 every morning, swimming before school, all day at school, swimming after school.
I think swimming is what cognitively prepared me to deal with the sufferings of buds down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just
early morning,
day after day, morning after morning, cold, wet, staring at the bottom, going to a deep, dark place to like just get through the pain. And so many times I reached into that muscle memory for buds.
Like watching the Olympics and the swim.
Yeah.
That's something. You can't really appreciate how hard that early morning stuff, because swimming's kind of big here too.
Yeah.
Especially down in
Texas and Florida. Big.
Huge. And that, like, they say they're swimmers. That's early risers.
It's a grind, man. It's a grind. Yeah, it's brutal. But I guess I should say it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool back in the day. Michael Phelps, I think, made it cool.
He turned it in.
Yeah.
Sure did.
That guy was.
How about that guy?
Dude, I think it was one of the world's greatest athletes. To be people who haven't swam don't understand. No one's that good at all those different events because it's such different physiology that makes you good as a sprinter or a distance in the different strokes. Very few people can be multifaceted like he and then just crush every single one of them.
And then make it interesting. Like,
Unbelievable.
Literally like watching that guy swim.
It is unbelievable. I like that guy. I mean, I think one of the world's all-time greatest athletes. He's up there with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Just
sure.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, they pulled me in that way and ended up there. Met your brother, watched you box. That's when I first started getting interested in SEALs. Funny enough,
did you know about him before?
I mean, Navy SEALs the movie, but you're like, it was like
Charlie Sheen, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it was one of those like, I don't know, that's that weird distant thing. Who knows? But what was cool is my senior year of high school. What they do is, if you're interested in the academy and you're a contender, they'll bring you up and let you drag for like a few days, what they call it. So they partner you up with a freshman, and you get to walk with that guy to class. You go to swim practice with him, everything. So the guy they had me drag with was Pete Logan, 99 guy. Yeah. So swimmer. So
sure is.
Yeah. So I first met Pete in 95. And this is what's cool is our story goes full circle. So then he ended up as a swim team captain his senior year, my junior year. I became team captain senior year. He went SEALs. I went SEALs. And so our careers have just been bookended because he just had his retirement ceremony like 3-4 weeks ago, and he asked me to be a guest speaker.
That guy can swim.
He's a swimmer, yeah, for sure. He was a much better distance swimmer than me.
That's exactly where I was going with that.
Yeah,
dude. I've seen him crush people without fins.
Oh yeah,
when they were wearing them.
Yeah. Well, now I'm retiring like 2 weeks from now is my ceremony, and Pete's going to be my presiding officer.
Oh, you got him? Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's going to be my presiding officer. So we bookended our careers together as teammates. Really cool. Love that dude. He is. Oh my gosh, what a stud. What a stud.
Nice guy, dude.
Oh yeah, and just a man of unbending integrity and
one of those guys.
Just loyal and truthful, and just the guy that you always want rolling with you. Yeah. So yeah.
God, I haven't heard his name in a minute either, man. I'm glad
That's
you
funny.
brought him up, man.
Yeah, Laura and he were on, because Laura was on the swim team
99 as well. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what a good dude. So yeah, somewhere in there, when I dragged it, that's why I got to that part of the story. When I dragged with him, he had a Navy SEALs poster on his wall. And I was like, oh, what's that? And it was the classic, the dude with the Draeger and the mask coming out of the water, with the MP5 back in the day. Classic photo. Yeah.
Well, and
iconic.
Well, probably, and germane to this point, we get this thing called Reef Points, right? This little blue book that has all this crap you got to memorize during plebe summer, which I was really bad at. But when Brad and I were going to the academy, like the Navy SEALs, Rogue Warrior had come out. There wasn't a lot of Navy SEALs movie had come out. But there wasn't a lot of. It wasn't like front and center in society. Like it was still deeply in the shadows.
Academy guy? Marcinko?
No.
He's state school, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he was E-Dog, prior E-Dog.
That changed some stuff when that sucker came out.
Yeah,
Rogue Warrior.
Well, that's also one of the reasons why they decided to do the 234 Discovery video, which was my class.
Hollywood.
That was right around the time it was right around the time Survivor was coming out, and so all these reality shows. And
Rudy.
Hey, yeah,
Rudy.
Yeah. So that was a big one. So SEALs were just getting up into like the mainstream. Because remember back then, you could go to a bar. And if you were like hitting on a girl and you said, well, I'm a Navy SEAL or whatever, most people wouldn't even know what that was back then. Right. And so they really wanted to up the awareness factor. They were successful over the last 20 years, clearly.
Well, and to the point of Reef Points, this little blue bookie that every plebe gets, like there was one page that said special warfare. And it was, the dude with the boonie cap laying in the jungle carrying a 60, coming out of the water. It was just one little picture and one little description. But it was just enough.
Yeah,
right. It was just enough.
Teased you.
It wasn't like page after page. It wasn't a big flyer. It was one picture that said special warfare. So everything else was about ships and submarines and everything else.
Big Navy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember how cool that picture is.
Yeah.
And it's actually the crappiest job there is. Like if you're in that position having to come out of that water, you've been suffering. And that's what gets us.
Yeah.
Dude, that looks so cool. That job is so hard.
You said that over breakfast this morning, this idea that like the teams are so great because we suffer so much. And I think you're right. I think you're right. Everything from day one on and then Hell Week, the Crucible, it's all about not wasting your suffering, using it as an opportunity, as a crucible. And then that ingrains in dudes a mindset that then those are the stories we always tell, right? The most miserable ones where we're like, oh, remember that time? It was freezing and none of us brought the right gear and blah, 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 whatever. And we all laugh. And yeah, those are the ones that are these formative moments in our growth as men, as warfighters.
I've never laughed so hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
When we're in the suffering is when it really comes out.
So I want to hear something interesting. Having done a couple tours at Buds, one of the psychs did a study on all the attributes across the teams to find out what's consistent across all our whole force, the successful force. The only attribute he can find that is consistent with 100% of us is a sense of levity, humor.
You gotta have it.
It makes total sense.
I don't think those guys who make it, that's a problem.
I think you're right. Because it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and so I used to go and look in Hell Week. I'd watch for the boat crews and the dude who was like cracking jokes when everyone else is just sucking it. And all of a sudden you see them all laugh and they get a little bit more pep in their step. And I'd go to that dude and I'd be like, hey, you keep doing what you're doing.
Keep going.
Because that makes a difference. And everyone loves that dude in the platoon who can just make everybody laugh.
God, is that the gym?
I think so.
I mean, all that money they spend on trying to find us.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the other thing I learned. Be very wary of anyone who says this is the thing that determines success, right? Because it's always multivariable. But that's a big one. I think that's a big one. The ability to laugh through suffering and misery, that gallows humor. Some of the darkest moments of our careers, you find the funniest thing. If you told someone like a normal human being about some of the jokes that we tell downrange, like they'd probably be horrified. But at the time, it's exactly what you needed to get through that moment.
Yeah, Bridget was doing the CISM team. Bridget Ruiz was doing the CISM team. And they do all the training over there. I did it
with her, I think. Same year. Anyway, keep going.
Was it 98?
No,
was it 99?
I did it later. 99? I did it after 2000. Yeah.
Okay. Where it was, like, during Hell Week, one of the trips over to NEB to Chow, whatever it is, you get the boat on your head, and, I'm running with the boat on my head and I see her and she's like, you kept the boat on your head, you switched hands and you waved and you smiled and laughed at me and she's like, and I saw your boat crew look at you like you were crazy. Then I thought you were crazy too. And she's like, but it made me smile. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I was just happy to see you. You were a smiling face and you've always been, light in my life. So
how about that? Like in the middle of that misery, the ability to snap out of it, hey man, what's going on? And go back to crying and misery in a blink of an eye.
Dude, when I was CO Buds, we had to cancel Christmas break for a whole class. They showed up, they're getting ready to start training. COVID was running rampant. I was like, hey, we didn't know a lot about the virus back then. And I said, hey, I can't in good conscience let you guys get on airplanes and go home and like infect people. So we got to cancel Christmas, sorry. So it was really funny because they were all depressed. That's not why it was funny. But then my CMC, Dave Hansen, gets up.
Dude,
yeah,
great.
I know.
Huge Dave Hansen fan.
Dude,
you had a good crew over there.
I've rolled with some really good people. And so Dave gets up. He's like, he just looks at it. He's like, you all look so poopy pants and depressed and sad and weak. He goes, I got the perfect solution, the perfect thing to wash away your self-pity. Hit the surf. So
in that accent.
Oh yeah, well I don't do the accent justice.
I can't do it. I don't even try.
No, his Staten Island drawl. Oh, and no one can talk like that, dude.
City, Staten Island. It's got the freaking
his whole family. His whole family's incredible. So
yo, Brett,
best dude.
Yo,
I mean, what it should sound like if you're like, man, I know exactly where you're from.
Well, there's a reason they picked him to narrate Act of Valor, right? Dude. I mean, like the voice. But the funny part is, one kid quit right there. Walks over and rings the bell. Like, dude, the first time you ever got wet in Buds, you just rang the bell. it was shocking. But then the rest of them go get wet and they come back, and I'm walking up the line to say some more words to them. And to what we're talking about, the point I'm telling the story is there's this one young officer standing there right in the corner, smiling ear to ear, like. And I stop and I look at him. I'm like, "Yo, dude, I just canceled your Christmas break. CMC got you wet and sandy. Why are you smiling right now?" And he just goes, "This is everything I was waiting for and everything I hoped it would be." And I'm like, I bet that dude makes it. He did. I followed him the whole way through because I was curious. Haven't seen that one moment, and dude made it.
I remember around the world during Hell Week, Hanson and I were in the same boat crew.
Oh, you were in Bud together.
We were in Bud together.
I didn't realize that.
And we were out in the zone, and we were looking around like, bro, we're in the book. We're in the movie right now. Like, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, miserable. And then someone brought that up, and we're like, fuck yeah, man. This is what it's all about. That mentality.
Oh, yeah. When you press into the suffering,
right?
All of a sudden it's not enjoyable, but like,
no, it's not, but it's something else.
But it changes the mindset.
Let's say misery loves company, but you realize that it's not actually misery. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to explore a space mentally and physically that didn't know that you could. And there you are. And it was always, but there was a part that was kind of fun. It was nice. It was, embodying the suffering, like, being part of it. I got in the goon squad once, and that was it took me once to get out of the goon squad so I could watch those guys suffer. But we did in there. Yeah. Before Around the World, boat crew, the Doug Munns was our class leader. And, in April, it was the beginning. It was into March, right? So it was like the 30th of March. And it really was. I know everybody says their Bud's class was the hardest, but this was like the coldest day in San Diego history. It was like 31 degrees. It was so cold that the instructors took pity and gave us field jackets and
you got
beanies.
the beanie and the jacket?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's the benefits of being a winter class.
Yeah.
Well, we were doing the Around the World, and we're at, remember I always love this term, hot dog water. Remember hot dog water? It was like a broth that they gave you.
I hadn't heard that since you said that.
Yeah, that triggered some PTSD.
Yeah, man, right there. Thank you. Now I need to go see that.
Well, anyway, we stopped. We do the from the compound up to North Island, then you take the boats on your heads, you cross over the peninsula there, and before you put back in, you get to stop and take on water, get some hot dog water. And Ian Rollins was in my class, and unfortunately he got hurt, but he ended up being he was like the preeminent EOD Master Chief. He got hurt so bad that he couldn't finish class up.
He got put over there.
Mm-hmm. And in total, but he retired recently. He's awesome. Ian's never forget this. Ian's standing there, and their boat crew was crushing everybody. Well, they weren't. We were winning all the races because that was like me and Mike Koch and a couple other guys were just laying waste to people. And Joel Chapman. We would actually give out we let people win races so they could take a break because we were nice guys. Anyway, these guys were the rowers, and we knew that we were going to kick the crap out of us on this Around the World. So we're getting hot dog water, right? So we had our health inspection, whatever. We got in the water, we're doing Around the World and drinking hot dog water. And Ian's sitting there like this. He's like, man, he's hot. And there's steam coming out of his jacket. And Troy Deal was one of the first phase instructors. Yeah.
Have you ever been shopping for a car before and think to yourself, wait, is this even a good deal? Yep, I've definitely been there, and that's why I started to use Car Gurus. It's hands down the easiest way that I found to shop for a car. They show you the best deals, price drop alerts, legit reviews, and they break it all down so you actually feel confident in what you're getting. No guessing and no weird fine print. They've got over 4 million listings, so if the car you want exists, there's a good chance it is on there. And when I was ready, Car Gurus connected me with a trusted dealership, super smooth, no back and forth. It is no wonder that Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site out there. It's because it works. So if you are in the market, go to cargurus.com. That is CARGURUS.com. and make sure that your big deal is the best deal. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to Car Gurus to make sure that you get your best deal possible.
He's like, Rollins, what's the matter, man? You look like you're awful hot. He's like, we've just been putting out. It's a little bit hot. He's like, really? He's like, what you got going on there? And Deal pulls down his t-shirt. He's like, holy shit. Well, the boat crew one guys got the bright idea of getting trash bags, cutting holes in them, putting their arms and neck through. So it was like their undergarment was this trash bag. And all of the first boat crew had those trash bags on.
And Deal found them?
Deal found
that dude can toss a beating.
Oh, dude. He
pay the man for that.
He put the screws to those fools. So every time we finish like one lap of the round the world race, like those guys would be standing out in chest deep water with the boat over their head. So
I thought you were going to say they used MRE heaters.
That's what I thought you were going to too. I was like, the MRE heater inside?
Steve Hawley did that in our
I
Buds
thought you were going to
class.
say they poured the hot dog water down.
Yeah, how does the hot dog water reel into that story?
Well, it was just a hot dog water break. It was just
Okay.
I'm thinking he poured
and
the
Rollins is like
water
sipping
down
his
his
he's sipping his hot dog water with steam just pouring out of him like a
Oh
chimney.
my gosh.
Did you explain what that is? I can't even remember because we all remembered it. I'm just
Probably
thinking
chicken
people.
broth.
It was like
So
some kind of broth. It was like for the broader audience, they took like a big thing of hot water, threw probably some bouillon cubes in it, stirred it up, and give it to us. Like a salty
It was for
chicken flavored, beef flavored, whatever it was.
and those styrofoam cups.
Styrofoam cups.
Yeah.
And if you ever been to a baseball game, like a rec league baseball game,
You had to be in Winter Hell Week to get those.
right. And remember that they used to serve hot dogs. They'd be
Yeah.
hot dogs would be in the boiling water, and
Yeah.
once all the hot dogs were gone, it'd be this little thing of
Yeah.
water sitting there. It's like hot dog water. So we call it hot dog water.
Thanks, my PTSD just came back.
Yeah.
There's a video, it's not public, like some instructor, one of Marcus's instructors had a camcorder and videoed him. He was just walking around videoing different people.
He's doing a base tour.
Okay.
Marcus is sitting underneath like a
Yeah.
boat.
I love
And he
base
looks
tour.
kind of upset. And the instructor says, Marcus, your friend just quit. You gonna quit? And he goes, no, sir. I got more friends. And we got a hold of that video.
I can't believe that video's still out there.
Dude,
It
that's
came to-
great.
that's
This was
how we got
VHS tape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
camcorder.
And I got to see it and I laughed my butt off. I thought that was one of the
That's
funniest
really funny.
Freaking base
things.
tour, man.
Base tour sucked.
Miserable. Oh, the worst.
I mean, what I find, and I'm curious, I think I know what you guys will say, but when you bring up when guys quit, what was interesting for me is when two things happen when someone quits. There's always one or two that follow them. Because then if they're measuring themselves against that other dude who they think is bigger, better, stronger, whatever, and he quits, it produces in some people a sense of like, oh, well, if he quit, I know he's better than me, therefore I have to quit too. And so they'll quit. But the other reaction that it provokes in a lot of us other people who see that guy, who thought maybe that guy was bigger, better, stronger, was all of a sudden, hey, turns out I'm a little bigger, better, stronger than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like fuel for your soul. It was for me, at least, where like every time a dude ring that bell, it was almost like I got stronger and stronger.
Every time I heard it. That's what
every
happened to me.
time.
Every
Just
time I
more
heard it.
resolve, because you're like, oh. And then you get to the point where you're like, I think I'm going to be in the dudes that make it, in that small group of dudes that make it. And all of a sudden, you have an unstoppable mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wasn't smart to know any better. We did have this guy in my boat crew who quit first night of Hell Week after breakout. Thanks be to God and Joe Feminia for giving me the trick to breakout, by the way. The trick is, he's like,
I didn't know there was one of that.
there's a trick to breakout.
Do tell.
He's like, PT yourselves, run around the compound.
Oh, yeah.
Jump on the way.
Yeah.
And
Look
we-
busy.
Yeah, look busy. Just do flutter kicks.
Officers are very good at that, by the way.
Yeah. Look busy.
So boat crew 1, that's all we did. But this guy was in boat crew.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
He was a football player, like college football player, receiver. He was like an alternate for the Olympics. I'll leave the rest of the details out of it, but he was awesome. Like, we loved him. He was the most amazing athlete I've ever been around. Like, and I've been around some pretty this guy was the total package. He was so good that he taught me how to hurdle the dirty name. So instead of landing on it, you go,
Okay, yeah.
doot. I saw him do that once. I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, just try it out, see if it works.
Could you
Sure
do
enough, I could do it.
No kidding.
Oh man, it made a dirty name like.
Dude, you must have had serious like vert leap.
Yeah, I had some good ups. I was a hoopster. My old man was my coach. He made us do like 200,
I
300.
ran the O course.
Yeah.
4 mile time runs kick my ass. I'm slow as
Me
hell.
too.
But the O course is a different story altogether. It's like something in the country, boys. So they would just freaking do that stuff.
I could not.
So this
run.
guy was just, and he was an amazing athlete, an amazing person. Like he was totally well rounded. But you know, the first night getting in the water, like the cold water was not his friend, and like he's like, "It's it, guys." So he started to leave the water. We got him back out, but you know, when that decision, you've seen it real time. Once that decision,
Shoot in the face.
and once that decision's been made, he came back and joined us in the surf zone for a little bit. He's like, "Nope, sorry, boys." Good luck.
Once you allow that into your thought process,
Yeah, and
it's a cancer.
Yeah, and he left, and we're like, all right, well, I guess we got to find something else for our boat crew. And it was unfortunate because, you know, like I said, he was one of the most amazing athletes I've ever met. An amazing person. Like I need to look him up because I haven't seen him or talked to him since then, but he was a fabulous person. But to your point, it was almost like it gave us, it's like, well, we're still here. And this guy needs my arm. This guy needs my arm. Let's just hang on.
Yeah.
And we did. And that was it.
Man, I had Adam Brown, Dave Hansen. You guys know Matt McGraw?
Yeah,
Come on,
dude.
fucking
Dude, Dave
freaking-
tells
excuse
the best stories about him. But what are you gonna say?
Our crew was so
I think
strong.
Quick Draw McGraw was started in my buds class, but it got these stress fractures that destroyed him.
Unbelievable.
It came all up to you.
I mean, he had more fractures than he had legs. And he would, every day, at the end of the day and at lunch, he'd just sit on the picnic table with bags of ice all up and down his legs. And no quitting this dude.
Yeah,
No quit.
yeah.
I mean, he took me to a different level mindset. Because he's a wrestler. I didn't...
Matt's a wrestler?
Yeah.
That's water
didn't
polo
realize
player,
that.
I think.
Or water polo, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, just as dumb. Wrestlers, water polo,
Thank you.
dumb.
Yeah.
Dude, they were going to board his ass out of there. I mean, he's like, I'll give him a commission. I mean, like, he was the best.
That's what Dave says.
And he was, man. And the guy next to me, because we were in the aft of the boat, starboard and port, and the other guy was Greg Klein. Huge. This is a Green Beret,
Yeah, Greg.
Marine Force Recon. I'll never forget, we were on the pool deck getting tortured, and the instructor goes, Klein, what are you doing here? You were Army Green Beret, you were a Marine Force Recon? He's like, I thought I'd take a break. That's what this dude said. I couldn't believe it.
Back to sense of humor.
Yeah. I mean, said that to the instructor while we were getting tortured, and I was like, oh my God, this is just a different level of man running around here.
Yeah.
And he's huge.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge.
He's huge.
He makes Marcus look small.
All these dudes did.
Yeah.
Like, we had a huge boat crew. Matt, no matter how broken he was, like, he always had his hand on the boat pushing.
Yeah.
He couldn't fit in there with us
No kidding.
because Greg and I's shoulders would touch. And he never stopped. Like, I never forgot him. We hadn't talked. I don't even remember the last time I saw him, man.
I think he
don't
just
even-
retired recently.
Is he? Oh,
yeah,
good, man.
he and I got to roll together in gold for a season.
Oh, that
really
freaking
respect
guy,
that dude.
Yeah,
Dave tells a great story in Buds. Tell me if you remember this one, because Dave tells it and I loved it. But he's like, dadgum, man.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, he's like, Matt McGraw was so cool. It's like Captain America. Everyone loved him. And Dave's like,
He's even good looking.
yeah,
he's got the
yeah,
total package.
incredibly
man.
handsome man. And so,
What?
so Dave's like,
Aiden?
this one time we got caught with dip, and everyone's gonna get beat, but they were like, Matt, grab your lip and open it. And so McGraw like opens, and then they put the dip in his mouth, and then let him dip in front of them, and then I think they beat him later.
Yeah.
But as Dave tells the story, he's like, I remember thinking, like, how can a dude be so cool that the instructors are putting dip into his mouth?
Yeah.
It's like, that is kind of funny.
Because they make you
actually.
swallow it back in the day. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
caught you with it. Like, what do you
Paid
got?
the
You got
man.
chew in your mouth, swallow it.
You're man enough. You're man enough to chew it. You're man enough to gut it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quick Draw called me. So I'm walking, I'm at GBRS. I'm heading to the gym, and I'm walking across the parking lot, and my phone starts buzzing, and it says Matt McGraw. I'm like, what's Matt McGraw calling me for? I'm like, hey, Matt, what's going on? He's like, JD. I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, we started a conversation, but he was trying to call a different JD. He called me.
Funny.
So we spent the next 5 minutes doing like bona fides. So we're talking about, like, I went through a situation once with the Navy, and he's like, he's like, JD, you're the toughest guy I ever knew. He's like, tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Yeah.
So I went through this whole, like, all these different, he couldn't believe it was me. It took him like five full minutes to figure out that I wasn't messing with him, because he thought it was his buddy JD messing with him. I'm like, no, man, it's JD Donaldson, Matt. Anyway, we he's doing really well.
Aw,
He's doing
good.
extremely well. Yeah.
He's a good mug.
Quick stroll.
How could he not?
So y'all get through buds, and where do you go after that?
So I went to SDV Team 2. Danny had been a previous 2 buds classes before me, but then the way the SDV school cycled and then the platoon cycled, and by the time I got through SDV school and checked into SDV Team 2, Danny and I were new guys together. They had held him back, and like we cycled in together as new guys. Him, me, and Dave McDonald, MacD. We were the 3 new guys in that platoon.
I fucking love that man too.
Another good dude.
Great dude.
I'm up to 3 on Brad, by the way. Like I'm tracking his English. He's really bad English. So
What did I
that.
say? You're keeping tabs on me?
I am.
Okay.
I am. You said better than me. It's better than I. You said him, me, and then you said haven't swam. Like what is it? It's haven't swum. You're a swimmer. You should know these things.
I should know these things.
You guys, you got to SDV Team 2. I remember seeing you.
Yep.
I hadn't seen you since the academy.
Right.
At one of the demonstrations, like
Yep.
we do the East Coast, the reunion does a demonstration, and Brad
That's
was.
right. That's
Are we
right.
still doing? Are we still doing that?
I don't know.
Because it was
Yeah.
great.
It was
Yeah.
a big thing back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're.
I got picked to like stand there with the SDV and
I
answer
think it was you and
questions.
Danny.
Was it? It probably was
Yeah.
because we were the 2 new guys, so that would make sense.
Yeah, and I had been at Team 8 for. I got the team, so I finished up buds in the summer '99. Checked into to the team in November, on November 1st of '99.
What class were you?
224.
Oh, you were right before Marcus.
That's why I don't say anything when he's like, my buzz class was the hardest one. Well, shit.
He was 226 and then graduated 228. Yeah.
Yep. And then Danny was 3.2, I think, and I was 3.4.
You're the Hollywood class.
Yep.
Well, we were the
We have pictures of that class upstairs.
we were the class that
Do you?
they
I'll have
made
to take a
the
look before we leave.
Netsy video, the 224 Netsy
Yeah, yeah.
video. That was us. We were 224.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
I
what.
remember
Reader's Digest did a thing on y'all's too.
You want to get a serious beating? Like they said they're going to come videotape us. Mike Getka was just licking his
Oh
chops.
my God. You say that man's name, dude, I got chill bumps up my freaking arm. That guy can toss a beating.
Getka and Deal, them boys laid the wood to
was
us.
They were great at it.
They were really good.
Spencer Calvin.
Soulless.
Yeah, Spencer.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. Dude, and Pat Stone. Like, if you pissed them dudes off at the same time, man.
So that's when I
At least
realized.
Pat Stone made you laugh.
Yeah, but
when he was
Corbin.
getting-
That's when I realized that.
Right? The humor
He
on
was
that
funny.
dude. I mean,
That
like,
dude
he
was
was having
hilarious.
a great time
He was
doing that. And I was
hilarious.
like, man, dude,
Yes,
these guys.
Pat Stone was a corpsman in first
Yeah.
phase.
That's how we had to meet.
Yeah, well, and that's when I recognized that Corman. You guys are. I mean, there's evil that lurks inside of you that's beyond.
It's because of him.
Yeah, well,
He would keep us after the day beating. He's like, Corman, muster under the bell for your extra beating for being a corpsman. I think he hated us because we were us.
there's some really
It's
good.
awesome.
I think you can look up Pat
Great
Stone on
dude.
YouTube. He's got this
Man,
Yeah,
that sucker could toss a beating.
He's probably the reason why we no longer use Seal Corman when we actually have Corman at Evolutions.
Those two, man, they got our Hammer Awards. Hell week.
Yeah. So fun.
Well, they asked me what the hardest thing Ben Buds was. Well, the first thing it was really tough. I didn't know how cold the Pacific was
Yeah,
because I mean I'm a hayseed. Like I didn't go to Pacific. Like being number 4 or 5 in a family of public school teachers in West Virginia, we had 2 vacations, both in Virginia Beach, and that water's plenty warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
The so first time that was tough was when we did wetsuit appreciation, right? So you do like this SR thing, like you go out in the water, you make your swimmer's line, and you come the recon swimmers come across. And I made it a point to be one of the recon swimmers. I was like, dude, this water is cold. And we came back in. Gary Garbers, rest his soul. Man, I love Gary. He's the best. Garbers was one of the first base instructors as well. And he made us hit the surf again. I was like, man, that water's cold. All right, let's go. So off we went. So that was tough. But then during Hell Week, back to Pat Stone and the Evil and Corman, I started coughing up blood on like a Wednesday night. They're like, man, you gotta go. You're going to medical. You're getting some shots. So I'm like, all right. And a corpsman that was one of the brown, who was a graduate brown shirt, was like his first thing was he went to 18 Delta and he went back to Buds to do his thing before he checked in a teammate, Scott Alexi, who's one of the docs down at one of the PAs down at the command now.
Okay.
You would know him. Super good dude. He was a corpsman on the compound over there behind, what's it, 602? What's the building that the old barracks building?
618.
618 is a big
Yeah.
barracks building, but the one that's right there on the compound.
602.
602.
602, yeah.
And the medical is right beside 602,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so I go in there, Sky's in there, like, hey, we get you some shots. And this warrant officer, and I was ensign, right? So they love mess with ensigns. So Doc, I think it's Doc Moser was his name.
Yeah, I remember him.
That's exactly who that is.
Yeah.
Older team guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
Straight up doctor.
Yeah. He's like, oh, so you're coughing up blood, huh? I'm like, well, I'm all right. He's like, don't worry, we got you. We'll get you some Rocephin, get you right up. I'm like, all right, it's good. So I see Scott's eyes getting big about something because this guy's drawing up a shot and it's putting in my butt cheeks, right? So this dude pushes the first one into me and it was hallelujah pain.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the heck is that? And he's like, oh, I just figured I'd cut it with sterile water, it'd be better for you. I'm like, and I can feel it like right now.
You don't know what that feels like if no one's ever had that, because we can't do that to a civilian.
No. When I was like, oh wow,
that's battery acid is what that
he's
feels
like. At least there's only one. He's like, oh no. He's flicking the needle. He's like, you get two, right in my right ass cheek. And
oh my gosh,
absolute.
Why would you do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely made you not want to come back.
Go back in.
No, I'm never going to get sick ever again.
That was one of the worst pains ever. Getting that sterile water shot to you.
Oh, dude,
I've never had that.
Hook your friends up with one of those. Just right. And this,
oh man.
So my first platoon, Scott Alexi was one of the corpsmen, and he's like, I remember you. You're the one that got sterile water shots in your ass. I'm like, you son of a bitch. She's like,
you can't believe what that feels like. It feels
do.
like the flesh is separating itself.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable. It's a joke.
It's a gruesome
description.
description.
Man, it's freaking dude.
Man.
That's terrible.
Well, I decided so one of the things, you might know this, Brad, you might not. The day after I graduated from Navy, on May 23rd of 98, Dwayne and I are in the backyard for a graduation party at my house in West Virginia. And then we were football players. We were both quarterbacks. He was better at the quarterback than both me and my older brother. He took the team to state championship, actually. So Dwayne throws me a pass in the backyard. I landed weird on my left leg. I was like, oof, I felt a little weird. And then like 15 minutes later, I couldn't straighten my leg out anymore. I was like, what is wrong? What is wrong here? I let it eat for about a week. Then I reckoned I didn't need to go to the academy to get it checked out. And it turns out I broke a bone off my femur. It was stuck in my knee joint. So I had to have surgery. I had to get my knee fixed. And Captain Wilkins was the ortho at the time. He's like, have you ever thought about supply corps? I'm like, I have, but if we can fix this, I'd really think about buds. He's like, all right. So what do I want to do? I want to watch the surgery. So the surgery was scheduled 4 weeks later. What they did was they scope it to get a look at things, and then they had to open it up and screw the bone back on my femur. So imagine, the old classic, like Tom and Jerry dog bone, like your condyles are the little knobs on the bottom right, and my medial condyle had a piece of it about the size of the end of my thumb. With this thumb, that had broken off, so he screwed it back on.
Oh God!
Well, I want to watch a surgery. He's like, okay, we can give you a spinal, or we can give you an epidural. He's like, you're at an age right now where spinals may drain fluid out of your spinal column, you get migraines. He's like, I recommend epidural. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this surgery. So,
that's not normal.
Yeah.
I thought it seemed like a good idea at the time. So,
terrible idea.
I mean, you're a doc, so you understand these things. And I'm like, they're going to put a scope in, they're going to kind of ease it in. Nah, brah. They jam that thing right in there, and before he does it, he's
can't
like,
believe how brutal that is in there. That's why they put you out.
No,
yeah.
he's like,
I'll take the out.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He's like, sometimes when we do epidurals, there's still nerves that don't get
dude.
Positively or there's still nerves that are alive there. And dude, he stuck that scope in my knee, and it was hallelujah pain.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm like, should we get the first one in? I'm like,
Oh my
I'm like, okay, let's do the second one. He stuck the second one in. I'm like, he's like, how about some milk of amnesia? I'm like, send it. So
yeah,
off we went. But to the point, like that hurt, but it paled in comparison to that sterile water shot. Straight up, man. Like
it's the worst.
That's the worst.
That is crazy.
I thought I was dying. Like something was burning off of me.
Yeah.
When they hit me with that. I deserved it too. I was acting up. Like I was out of line.
I was just an ensign. Trying to make it through Hell Week, man.
Yeah.
It's true.
Everyone likes to know ensigns. Yeah.
Oh
So STV Team 2.
Yeah, STV Team 2. Let's talk about how you both met Danny.
Sure. Well, that's where I met Brad.
And the STV. And then you were really good friends with Josh Wynn.
Yep.
Who had been in my plebe summer squad. And so I remember, because back then all the SEAL teams were that one like compound on the East Coast. Had you ever been east, or were you all west?
I was all westy.
Okay. So it was one big square compound and all the different teams. And so you'd see the other teams across, like everyone had the pavement kind of courtyard area.
That's what separated y'all, right?
Yeah, it was like a pavement courtyard. And
back 40 mill vans and
so
random crap.
So a lot more cross-pollination between the teams, because everyone just walked to other team rooms to say hi to their buddies. And I'd see you all because Josh Wynn was at SDVs with us as well.
Great human being.
Dude.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that guy.
How he got stuck in SDV, special
It
deliveries,
blew my
is beyond
mind.
me.
Yeah, but look at you and Morgan. Like this.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
you guys
must
are
have been some kind of
six,
joke
thick.
going on back in
It
the late
probably
90s.
was, yeah.
That
Yeah.
all of us got sent.
Well,
There's
same,
this tall guy. Let's send him.
but it's the same with submariners, right? You get on a boat. I remember being on the Philly one day, and there's these tall dudes that had like cuts on their head from hitting all the lagging because subs get smaller when you get down lower, and they get Anyway, back to
so
your
we would
SDV
see
too.
you all the time because you'd come see Josh. We'd all be having conversations. We remembered each other from the academy, and then so Danny and I did a full rotation there with tasking at Bravo. And then you came over to SDV after that. I stayed on with Danny for tasking at Charlie, and that's when we all got to roll together. He was our platoon commander, and Danny and I were now in a second platoon there. So we were from FNGs to one platoon wonders together, rolling under JD. Yeah.
And I had gone to Team 8 for I showed up as an ensign, got chucked into a platoon. I guess it was a JG by the time I was an ensign, still an ensign. I put on JG and it was Bravo platoon. Guys there I was in with, it was me. The new guys was me, Mike Stacks. Hold on. Yeah, this is correct. I'll use correct English for you. It was Mike Stacks, Marty Foldez, Nate Hardy, and I were the 4 new guys in Bravo platoon. And we had an awesome platoon. Scotty Forbes was, he was the ordnance rep. Gunny Dolgoff was our air guy. Eric Gessner was our commo. Todd Freischlag was our OIC. Tom Rhino was AOIC. Like,
I know who he is.
Mm-hmm. We had a wrecking crew. It was awesome.
Rhino's a badass.
Yep.
I did my last deployment with him. He was our commander.
And so we did that rotation, and then came back. I stayed with the same platoon as AOIC. We went from Bravo, became Delta. We took on 3 new guys: John Foss, John Willard, and Brad Croats. I mean, we had we were stacked. We had a stacked deck. We had a great platoon, and I finished up that rotation, and I really wanted to stay and be the platoon commander because sometimes there's opportunities for you to get lucky to stay at a team all the way through. And I really, I know what I wanted to do downstream, and it just didn't work out. Detailer had detailed somebody else in to actually Joe Femini, I think, took over my platoon. Don Weatherby took over as AOIC. I went to SDV school in the summer of 2003, and Rhino was in my SDV school class. Rhino, Malloy, John Green, Malik Shaw, Tate Reimers. Tate came with us. Old Tate came to the platoon, came to Charlie with us, and I got to go to SDV team 2 for a number of reasons.
Did you pick that?
I did.
Did you?
No, I was, no, I did not want to go SDVs. Back then, now it's kind of the hotness these days.
Well, now you got to get selected to go out there in the screening process.
It's really become the damn neck of undersea. And, but back then no one wanted to go because you're going to be miserable. Just long dives. And I remember
cold, wet.
Back then they
miserable.
announced orders at the end of 3rd phase or in San Clemente Island, and they had the big whiteboard and they had sheets hung up. And so they did this big reveal, who got East Coast, who got West Coast. And then they'd do the 3rd sheet, and it was like 4 or 5 dudes in the top right corner who went SDVs. And I just kept going through the lists, like looking for my name.
Just to make sure.
Did I get dropped from training and not realize it? And I just look up to the top right corner. And I remember it was so funny. I was so bummed and depressed. This is back before cell phones. I snuck into the guard shack on San Clemente Island, and I called my wife, who was back in San Diego, and I whined like a little baby about it. I was like, "Oh, I can't believe I got SDVs. This is gonna be terrible. Like so much time underwater." And she was typical team wife. She's like, "It's gonna be fine. Suck it up. You're graduating. This is a win. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine." And so I pulled myself together.
You're like, look, we can go to day 1, week 1. We'll just do this all over again.
Well, and it ended up being such a blessing. Obviously, I got to meet Danny. I liked it so much. I stayed for the 2nd platoon because you just get so hard in the SDV. And then full circle, it ended up being that time down there ended up being what qualified me to go back as a CO later. And I ended up doing my first CO tour at SDVs in Hawaii right as the shift from counterterrorism happened to Great Power Competition. So in the 2018 National Defense Strategy was signed, I was in command of the undersea team. And you talk about right time, right place. Yep. I mean, like, oh my gosh, had the time of my life. So things happen for a reason, and it plays out. You know, what's not cool today, all of a sudden is the hotness 15 years from now. And so you just never know.
And my mom wasn't well. We were talking about this earlier. She had dementia. Alzheimer's ended up taking her in 2007. So this is, 2003 time frame. And Margaret, the lady that worked detailing shop, I was good friends with her, and she found me an East Coast platoon commander slot, and it turns out it was SDV Team 2 in Charlie Platoon. And I had checked in Jeff Steffi to Team 8, but he was coming from teaching free fall, and he was going to go. It was supposed to be a platoon chief, and there was no platoon chief slots at 8, so he lifted and shifted and went to.
He was an incredible platoon chief.
He's an incredible person.
Those two usually go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So was Danny on the Charlie platoon?
Yes.
He was in Charlie,
SDV
right?
So it's kind of cool.
So I checked into SDV Team 2 as platoon commander. I actually checked into ops, and my first seat, those old gray metal trash cans that the military has all over the place, little tiny ones, right? There weren't any chairs in ops, so and McCaskill was the ensign.
Yep.
We're both in ops.
John?
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
McCaskill.
John and I were the two AOICs. Yeah.
We were both, just ops guys, and there was no chairs, so we had our first chairs were these metal cans, and they lasted about a month.
Pretty good. John, $1 million grand, dude. So what's he? Is he still?
He lives out in like Colorado now, doing was it the Mindful Frog or something?
Oh,
I think it's his business name.
And he sent something out on Thursdays, right?
There's a lot of public speaking posts about mindfulness. Really, he's doing really well.
Good.
Doing really well. We're going to see him in May. I think he's coming down.
And actually, fun thing about John, John and Josh Wynn are both from Ruston, Louisiana.
I didn't know he was from there.
Yep, they're both from Ruston. And
Those two giants came out of that town.
Yeah.
Like something in the freaking water, man.
Well, they both
Pretty
enlisted in
sure
the Navy before they went to the Naval Academy. So Josh and Brad were 2000.
Yep. John was 01.
I was 98. My brother was 2000. My wife was 99. You were
2000.
2000. Josh was 2000, and McCaskill was 01.
Yeah.
Good
crew.
That's a great crew.
Yeah, it's a great crew.
Yeah,
we just had fun.
And Jeff Steffi, who I checked in at Team 8, like gave him this, you get that big stupid pack of stuff you got to fill out, and usually takes people like a week to do it within the hour. It was back, done deal. So he shifted to SDV Team 2 to platoon chief slot, turned out to be in Charlie Platoon.
Yep.
And when I came out of ops, Mac and I came out of ops and checked into Charlie, Brad and Danny. I think Harrison was a repeat performer.
But quick story about Danny that's relevant to this is back in the day when you'd go to SDVs, you usually had to go to the front of the boat first and learn how to be a pilot and a nav.
Man.
So Danny and I partnered up for that, did our whole rotation. He became one of the team's like go-to pilots, like just
big fly.
He can make that.
There's only one person that was as good a pilot as he, and that was Jeff. And like Danny was probably the best pilot I'd ever seen. It was amazing.
He was amazing. So when they offered both of us to stay and do a follow-on tour, they offered us to shift to the back of the boat and do all the SRs.
I know guys would crash that thing on purpose so they didn't have to be up there.
That's funny.
How about that?
That's fraud, waste, and abuse right there.
Bro, that's how hard that freaking job is, man.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
One time I remember it was funny. We were driving to the Chesapeake Bay and I'm the nav, so I'm looking at the screen and the bearings and everything. And all of a sudden I'm like, hey, Danny, we're like 90 degrees off course. Like, what are we doing? And he's like, oh, sorry about that. And we correctly get back on bearing. I'm like, golly, dude. Next thing I know, it was only like 25, 30 feet of water through there, and we're riding, and all of a sudden we just go deep and just bounce off the bottom. I'm like, yo, Danny, what are we doing? He was falling asleep. Driving the SDV.
Yeah.
We'd been out for so long that night.
Oh my!
And finally, I look at him like, "Are you falling asleep?" He's like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." I'm like, dude,
fall asleep driving is one thing. Like over you guys over on the nav side, because my nav fell asleep a couple times too. I look over and he was just kind of arms floating in the. I'm like, bro, I mean, wake up!
Danny's the only dude I know that falls asleep driving.
That's a good one.
Because it's not. You're gripping that
stick.
The
hell out of that thing, man.
It's fighting you the whole time.
And you've got a drugger in.
So it depends. We wore the Mark 16s. Yeah, with a full face mask.
Okay.
You can kind of talk. But so anyway, Danny was great. And
I never heard of him fall asleep.
Oh my gosh, dude. There's so many great stories.
You fell asleep underwater.
Twice.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone has at some point, but not driving the SDV.
Yeah, not driving.
Like usually it's the dude who's not doing as much and just gets bored. But
in the back.
In the back all the time. You fall asleep, your regulator falls out.
Yeah. Wake up drowning. You literally wake up drowning.
Yeah, you really do.
It's the most terrifying thing ever.
It's dark.
A nightmare.
You got to save your life.
Can't see anything.
Yeah, no. It's just it's scariest environment.
Literally wake up, drive.
That's all you have to say. Scariest environment possible.
That's all you have to say. Thank you. Scary.
Well, another thing is that this thing's a missile, right? It is, on land, it's whatever it is, right? You get the batteries, you get the metal, you get the plastic, you get the tanks. It's kind of heavy.
A lot of people don't understand. I mean, especially the non-military people that are listening have no idea what an SDV is. Do y'all want to go just a very quick?
So we call it the pickle, right? It's a term. We also call it the turd, but it's a pickle. Yeah. And Brad and I will B&D this one. So it's about 24 feet long, roughly. It's about, I don't know, if it's sitting on the ground here, it's probably
4 to 5 feet,
4 to 5 feet tall, and about the same wide. So, and take that and make it into like a long, a small black stinky thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's
not dry inside.
It's not dry. It fills with water.
It's a submersible.
It's a submersible, right?
So it's kind of like half convertible, right?
It really is. Well, not convertible, but think of it like minivan doors.
Yeah.
And you pop them and it slides out to the side. But when you seal them, it creates.
Well, ours were like that. You had the button, right? You could hit the button. They go.
I didn't have a button. What are you talking about?
I'm shaking.
No. I'm old school, dude. No, it's so
Mark 8 Mod 1, son.
Yeah, so it just fills with water. And so the guys in the front have screens that they navigate and drive by. But the guys in the back, there's not much back there, at least back in the day. And so you just got to close the doors. The guys in the back were just waiting.
There's not much. There's nothing back there.
Nothing.
Yeah, so you close the doors and you're just in the dark, cold water waiting to get to where you're supposed to go do what you're supposed to do.
Which takes how long?
Oh, gosh. I mean, hours.
4, 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever.
Yeah, just to get there. And you're just
Sitting
sitting there in the dark. And you'll get like a leg cramp and there's like a dude sitting right in your lap.
And you can't move because if you move, then you're moving him.
Yeah.
And if you get
everyone gets irritated and if you bump a guy, he'll just start hitting you. Because everyone
fist fight in the back of that damn thing is like you can't believe.
100% fist fights back there. Like guys just get mad.
If your tank stuff gets compromised.
So you have a backup regulator. They put backup regulators everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, they run them on hoses
everywhere.
So it's like you move your hand 6 inches, there's another regulator staged. Okay. And so when you get situated, before you get in the water, you're like, okay, I got a regulator here, regulator here.
And you got your rig on your back, and you're plugged into the boat air. So
backups to backups just in case.
I'm picturing y'all picking on each other when one falls asleep and a regulator comes off or something.
Jokes.
Somebody, you can tell when they fall asleep, somebody will reach over and pull the regulator out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
and then you got one hand on your nose, kind of if you can't clear your ears, and the other hand is on your emergency regulator, and then you'll get stuck in that position. And then a cramp will come up, and you can always tell when someone's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because they'll start wiggling around a little bit, and then you
see
start
a leg go straight out.
Yeah, that old leg will stick out, man. So you'll start messing with them. Because there's nothing to do.
Yeah, you just grab their thigh and pinch down.
Nothing to do.
I get restless.
And no one knows who it is, because there's 4 dudes.
You don't
know who's messing with you.
It's the best.
So everyone just starts fighting.
And then the guy will be in dry suits, and you have these tanks on the side, and somebody will activate their dry suit, and it'll fill up full of air, so they'll try to float. They'll float to the top of the boat. Oh, man. You want to talk about chaos down there?
It's madness.
All right, so now we're back to 24 feet long.
Yeah,
roughly 5 feet in diameter.
It's great.
And when it floods out, it's full of water. So you're underwater, and this thing let's just say it goes 8 knots. So you get roughly 24,000 pounds of water in a missile form moving out, and it'll take out anything.
Build some inertia.
Yeah.
Massive amounts of inertia. Yeah. There was a story that's fun of one of these things getting off course, and the guys that were on the safety boats weren't able to get the ARDs out. ARDs an acoustic recall device, basically like a big M80 you throw in the water, it'd blow up, and you'd stop the boat and you surface. They couldn't get their ARDs out fast enough. These guys had hammered down. They're off course. They're in an area that will remain unnamed, but it had, $1 million piers that are out in the water from civilian houses. And this boat the STV just waylays one right through the bottom of it. And all you see is the pier go. They get on the other side of it, they surface. They're like, what in the hell? And the surface boat's like, go.
Yeah,
off they went.
Sort of like the Francis Scott Bridge falling when that thing hit it.
Yeah.
Like that. You can't, when this thing gets going, man, and then put the most violent men on the planet Earth in that sucker.
Oh my gosh. We had a doctor once, a diving medical officer come, and he was scuba qualified. So we were like, hey, we'll put you in the boat, take you for a tour, a 3-hour tour. And He got up when he finished the dive. He was like ghost white. He's like, I don't know how you guys don't kill more people. Like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. It's just like powered submersible underwater with a bunch of dudes in an enclosed tight space in the dark.
That's why we're so violent when we get out.
I think so.
Well, the back sucks. So like I said, the back sucks, but in the front, there's so much going on.
Yeah,
It's like a jet. I mean, literally, there's
And it's all
Water.
so IFR. It's all instrument. Like you're not like now out in Hawaii. Apparently, you could open the side and then look around. Virginia Beach, no, there's nothing to be done there.
We could do that.
Yeah, there's nothing to be
Actually,
seen.
that was probably the best part.
Yeah, nothing to be
you don't
seen.
get that in Virginia Beach.
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Your
No,
face
you
is
don't.
right on the glass.
It's
But
mud-
anyway,
it's all mud water.
you finish a dive and you were like, how long was that? 25, 30 minutes? And Dan Jacobs like, no, dude, you were down there for 5 hours. There's so much going on
Minimum.
that like minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum dives are 5 hours.
5
of
hours.
hours usually. Yeah.
That's insane.
So Danny, we finished that rotation. He'd been an exceptional pilot, and they let us go to the back of the boat, as if it's a reward, right? Like, congratulations.
Yeah, right.
But we were all excited for something different, I think, is what it was. But part of that was Danny had earned a spot at sniper school, which was like the coveted. Everyone wanted to go to sniper school, and but
Still do, by the way.
Still, everybody always does, because I mean, it's just a cool skill, right? And but here's a testament to Danny, the kind of guy he was. As we're getting ready to cycle into Charlie, and JD and Jeff are putting together all the quals, you got to make sure you have X snipers, X, whatever, breachers, whatever the requirements were back in the day. They're different today. We were missing a comms guy. We didn't have a comms guy for our platoon. And so I remember either you or Jeff was like, yo, we need a volunteer for a comm school guy. And Danny was the first dude to be like, I'll do it. So like had earned a sniper spot. It's the thing everyone wants to do. No one wanted to be a comms guy back in the day.
Nobody wanted to be a comms guy.
It was brutal. Your ruck's at least 20, 30 pounds heavier than everybody else's. It's the most unsexy job there, but the most critical, clearly.
And most dangerous because of crypto. You mess that up.
Oh,
and
dude,
there's all
so
kinds of
much
stuff to get done.
responsibility on your shoulders.
And you got to take this thing in the water with you with 5590s that
Yeah.
are lithium batteries. You got to be waterproof.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
everything
Let's
that
react violently to water.
Yes, saltwater and electronics, and lithium-ion batteries. So, or those were nickel metal hydride back in the day. The old 5590s were at this.
No.
Either way, bad stuff happens. So Danny, just first dude to be like, yeah, I'll give up my sniper billet spot for now to go be a comms guy because that's what the platoon needs. It just keeps coming back to like, who's under the boat, who's carrying their weight, who's sacrificing for their teammates, and Danny was always that guy just to be the first to volunteer.
And actually, we Jeff and I think Jeff and I all spoken like, not that we didn't think Danny would roger up for it. We were set on him being a sniper, but his selflessness like came
Yeah,
through. He's like, send me. Like,
Yeah,
all
the
right.
most selfless dude, I think that I'd ever met.
And he owned it. Like he absolutely owned being a
Oh, yeah.
communicator. Talking about crypto, talking about all the tapes, you're talking about all the kicks, like all the handsets, and emitters were new for us, right? So he had
everything.
his game was tight. Like he taught me because I was
Taught the whole platoon.
Yeah.
Pulled us all in. All right, here's how to do it. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, the dude was like just whatever he did, he did to excellence. And you would never have guessed that he never wanted to go to comm school because he just owned it, like you said. And the funny part about that too, being like, that's the heaviest rucksack. Danny was easily the smallest
He's not,
SEAL in our platoon.
wasn't big.
No, it's like 160 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
One
Yeah,
time.
my man was spring steel and rawhide though, son.
Oh,
Bro.
yeah. Just, yeah. Hard.
Tough as nails.
Hard.
Freaking dude.
Where-
Didn't realize that till I pissed him off one time.
Oh yeah, he got into boxing too, and went and knocked a dude out in the ring. Just a small wiry spider monkey.
Grabbing some good. Never,
Well,
we
He was
never
hard
wore
as
out.
nails.
Well, I got my first job ever in the SEAL team. I checked in with Fran Rogers, who's a senior chief in training at SEAL Team 8. He's like, hey, we're going to win the base smoker this year. I'm like, that sounds good. He's like, no, sir. He's like, perhaps you don't understand. Like, you're putting together a team. We're going to practice. We're going to train for the next
I
month.
think I've seen that video.
And we're going to win the
Yeah.
base smoker this year. I'm like, roger that. And I couldn't fight. I had too many fights, but I had Hendo, Nate Hardy, all these meatheads at SEAL Team 8. We went and crushed a smoker. Then I check into STV Team 2. Mullins was our skipper.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got the same task.
I've got to say, I've seen a ton of houses out there, but the ones from Partners in Building, well, they're simply on a different level. fully custom, seriously stunning, and designed exactly how you want it. Success isn't a one-size-fits-all, and your home shouldn't be either. That's what I love about Partners in Building. They're one of the biggest custom home builders in the country, creating luxury homes all over Texas and Tennessee, and every single one of them is unique. There's no cookie cutter floor plans, no close enough compromises. You get full control from the layout to the finishes and even down to the doorknobs. And the team, well, they've got a whole team of super experienced people on there. They've been doing this for nearly 40 years, and they help guide you from the very first sketch all the way to the day that you're moving in. Whether you already have a lot or you need help finding one, they make it all easy. And honestly, some of the homes they've built, I mean, it is just straight up dream material. So if you are ready to build something that's actually yours, go head on over to partnersinbuilding.com. That is partnersinbuilding.com.
I think Wojo gave it to me. He's like, "Hey, Donaldson, we're gonna win the base smoker this year." I'm like, "Let me guess, I'm gonna coach." He's like, "You got it." So Danny was one of our guys. Said Danny, John McCaskill. John was a Robot Arms. Steve Hood.
I remember that. Yeah.
In the Merry Band of Misfits. And we went. And
do you have videos of Danny boxing?
There is one I have. I don't know where it is. Like this is like back in analog, you know. So every once in a while I come across, and I'm always like, I need to transfer that to some like thumb driver. I mean,
I've seen that video.
It's when he knocked. It's really, really grainy. He knocks the dude down, and the whole crowd erupts. Yeah. I was there. Yeah, Amy and I were there for that one.
Yeah, he got the boxer. He got the boxer of the event award. He was the #1 boxer for the base smoker.
Yeah,
and we cleaned house that night. And
it's so cool.
Yeah, it was.
We would do that. So there is a cheat code for boxing until you get into like, you know, if you want to box you're boxing in the good categories, there's just cheat code. It's just your fitness, right? So if I can keep a heavyweight moving for 90 seconds in the first round, the rest of the fight was I could pick my punches. So I would get these guys. I got SEALs and divers. Like our divers, the real insane people at STVs. Yeah, the freaking divers. The guys are climbing around the back of a submarine.
They get no credit.
Yeah, they're climbing around the back.
Never hear about them dudes.
They're climbing back around a submarine.
Yeah, and they're operators. I mean,
dragging behind the sub with that thing.
Dude, STV divers are operators. 100%.
Well, and no, by the way, they're like 30 pounds negative, meaning they're staying on the deck of the submarine already. So they can walk around. They slide beside them. We're talking like they're down David Jones soccer. Thousands of meters of water. Actually, Dan Laube was a ND1 that night on the La Jolla when I was.
See the one that saved you?
Saved my life.
Yeah.
I was heading to the back and beyond. And that next morning, I told the whole dive team sitting there, I was like, when I have a son, his first name will be Daniel because you saved my life.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
I crashed the STV, me and Justin Pittman onto the back, and I ran into the sub. We were out of air, and they cradled it up, pulled it in during the debrief. Like, anything go wrong? Like, nope, everything's great. I'm like, man, they were just freaking covered down on anything. They're awesome. You don't ever hear about them.
Yeah.
No.
Ever.
They are hard workers.
Freaking hard work. If we're out there for 10 hours, they're out there for 20. That kind of thing.
And they just chilling out in the DDS, like just hanging out, just floating around. There'll be regulators in their mouth, floating horizontal, sleeping with regs in their mouth.
A lot of respect for those guys and girls.
They're idiots.
Yeah,
crazy shit, man.
Hard as nails.
Anyway, so Danny wins. We won the base smoker. Tri platoon forms up, and this is 04 workup for an 05 deployment, and we had, I would say probably, of all of the things that I was able to do and was fortunate enough to experience, I would say hands down, like all the diving we did, all the over the beach we did, all the land warfare we did, all the QRF training we did with, Joe Larkin up in Pickett, Mike Peter up at Aberdeen with Wojo, and Wally Johnson. We had such an amazing Nikki Baggett. We had this training department because STVs was still kind of its own little animal
thing, yeah.
And like these dudes lived, ate and breathed it.
Just brutal. Those training trips, like I remember, you didn't get weekends off. We would just.
You guys will be all right.
Be all right. Well, Wojo one night, his heart rate So Wojo's heart rate goes to like 250. Like he's like having an arrhythmia. He's like, I gotta go get checked out. So Aberdeen's north of Baltimore, Aberdeen Proving Grounds north of Baltimore. He drives himself to Johns Hopkins. They like check him in for emergency heart surgery. So they run like a catheter up and cauterize some nerves on his heart, which gave us Sunday off.
That's funny.
Which was Saturday. So we took the platoon, me and Brad and Jeff and Danny and the rest of the crew went to Annapolis. Parked our van in Annapolis and went to dinner. And I knew
we should probably stop that story there. I mean, I'm joking. It got rambunctious.
When we knew we were getting into something when we were crossing. I think we had gone to Mangia. It's like a pizza joint downtown near the water.
Yeah.
And when you cross over to like the marketplace where Middleton's, McGarvey's, formerly known as Reardon's, formerly known as Griffin's, like all the old bars were there. Somebody said something and Jeff called contact and, Jeff Steffi dove into like this. We're talking, this is the capital of Maryland. Like it's Annapolis, Maryland. Like he dives into the bushes and it's like low crawling, like through like the roundabout, like right there in the middle of Annapolis. Anybody who's been in the Naval Academy or been in Annapolis knows exactly what we're talking about. And Brad and I were like, uh-oh. Anyway, that night went long properly and we had a lot of fun.
Not our finest moments, but certainly some of our most fun.
Well, and
most enduring.
But we ended up somehow, I think we parked the van on the yard, but we were smart enough to know that we were not in a position or any of us to drive back.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes. So there was a reason why we had an inroad to 7th Wing.
Yeah.
So we find ourselves, and Brad and I were still kind of fresh. Like we were still crapping Academy Chow. He'd only been out for 4 years at the time. I'd been out for 6. And like we go into the 7th Wing basement, we get an elevator, we go up to like the 3rd floor, 7-3. And we come off as a whole platoon. And this C-Mod, I can still see him sitting there. He's that wide-eyed. C-Mod's the chief mate of the deck. He was like he was a plebe that year. And downstream, I've heard recently,
this whole SEAL platoon just basically rolls in.
We roll in.
Commandeers their rec room.
Yeah, it's called the wardroom. It's like a room with like it's like stadium seating with like couches.
Oh
and I go to see him. I'm like, hey man, I need you to wake us up at 6 a.m. and nobody needs to know we're here. He's like, Roger that, sir.
This is not allowed, by the way. Like it is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Some of the best members of the SEAL teams
that was way more responsible than anyone driving, you know?
So,
Yeah.
And we're military. It's a military establishment. I mean, we probably still owe the BOQ.
I would love to
fees
run
for
into that dude one day and hear what he thought about that moment. I have no idea who that was, but
That's
he was
hilarious.
probably just terrified.
in the last 6 months. There was somebody that told me the story about who that ran into the guy that was
Really?
C-Mod who had the SEAL platoon stay on 7th Wing with him one night.
That's funny.
It was funny because we almost got run out of there. There was a couple upperclassmen that was chasing us up and down there's someone, she's like, you need not be here. We closed the door on her, went up, got off. And we weren't her problem anymore. We were the C-Mod's problem. He was the only guy on deck.
So funny.
So anyway, I remember, and Danny was in there in the wardroom, sleeping on the couch.
Yep.
What was his personality like?
He was always funny, back to humor, always the guy laughing. He had a big old gap between his teeth, so we called him 550 because he could floss with a 550 cord.
That's right.
He did.
Yeah, and he just always had always had a mischievous grin because he was probably doing something mischievous half the time.
Yeah.
He was good guy.
He's good in getting other people caught for his stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. He'd get people in trouble all the time. Like one time he was. Since he was comms, he ended up being the inventory guy for all the optics, like night vision and your weapons optics and DEO back in the day is what they called it. And so one day he comes to me with an 1149 sheet, and that's when you had to sign responsibility. So if they're giving you custody of this $25,000 pair of night vision or whatever, you sign your name, serialize it, everything, you're good to go. And he comes to me and he's like, hey, Brad, I'm doing inventories and I haven't seen your second set of nods in a while. Do you have them? I need to get visual on them for inventory purposes. I was like, Danny, I don't think I ever checked out a second set of nods from you. He said, well, yeah, I got the 1149 right here. And this is like before PowerPoint and when you could like fabricate these things. And I'm looking at it and I go into a full panic mode because I do not remember ever checking out a second set, but here's my signature and the serial number of this set of night vision. So I spend the next like 3 hours digging through my gear, like panicked. You don't want to lose one of these. This is a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Big deal. I'm like, this is the end of my career, like as an officer, especially.
That kind of
I
deal.
can't believe it. Like this is, I'm just in and he lets me go for like 3 hours. And then finally he's like, I was messing with you. I forged it. he had like literally cut, not cut and paste like digitally, but physically scissor cut some other form where I'd signed it, Scotch taped it,
And then
Xeroxed it on a
copied it.
copy machine, and had somehow fabricated this form.
I did that on a report card one time.
Oh, so scandalous.
Yeah.
So he would play jokes like that. He was always the guy looking to like create fun, and always bringing in the Texan divers and making them feel like they were part of the team. He treated everybody like equals. Didn't matter what your rate was or what your job was, and that's one of the things that I kept hearing consistently after he died. And you could see it when he was alive, but after he died, you'd hear those guys come forward and be like, "Man, never in a million years did anyone treat me as good as that dude. Just made me feel special, made me feel important." Made me want to work that much harder for you dudes, because Danny was always the guy that would give them the time of day. If we were going out drinking, he'd be the guy that would grab the techs and divers, be like, "Yo, come with us," and just very inclusive and that kind of a guy. Yeah, and yeah, just a prankster.
I never heard him complain.
No, he never really did. I mean, I heard him once or twice, but I spent a lot of time with him. But it was very rare, not like normal. I mean, you'd have to work really hard to get him to complain about
Bitching's
something.
one thing. Complaining is something
That's
different.
that's a really good
You know what I mean?
point. That's a really good point.
If you're not bitching, there's something real wrong.
Yeah.
You walk in platoon space and like it's quiet, you're like,
That's how you know they're happy.
That's
Yeah,
right.
If they're bitching, but
Yeah,
I mean,
give a
when
team
I'm
guy
talking
a
about like
bag of
complaint.
gold. He's gonna bitch about how heavy it is. Yeah, that was Danny, and so he's just always funny. He always had some harebrained idea. Like one time, back to like being 160 pounds, he was taking creatine and protein and just getting on the weights, trying to put muscle on, and he could not put on muscle.
No.
And so he convinced himself he must have a tapeworm at some point. He's like, Brad, this is the only explanation. It must be eating all my nutrients. There's no other reason why I wouldn't gain weight. I'm like, Danny, I don't think you have a tapeworm. He's like, I do. So you go to our corpsman, and he like convinced the corpsman to give him tapeworm meds. It was the same conversation. The corpsman's like, you don't have tapeworm, dude. But finally he got so tired of hearing about it. He's like, here's the tapeworm meds. Just take them.
And some sterile water.
Yeah.
there you go.
It was just always like, I don't know. He was a character.
Well, and back to him being so strong, like, and I heard stories of him doing, like sets of 50 on the pull-up bar, like ridiculous stuff.
Spider
We're in Aberdeen. Remember at the water's edge, we're doing this like back and forth gear change outs. But we're full kit, everything except our helmet. Remember Danny's sitting there, and I can't do it because I'm not strong enough. Remember Danny's sitting with his butt on the ground, pushing up.
Oh yeah,
with his hands
like a gymnast.
Full kit, gun slung across him, like everything. He's got it all. And it was back before we were running too slick, so we're working on the
We're very heavy.
We're very heavy, so we're rocking with 6 magazines each with one in the gun. Anyway, Danny pushes himself up, bends his knees, pushes and goes back through. So now he's in like that, whatever that move is. Emily Blunt on
Cobra or something. Yeah.
He does that move, puts his legs straight over his head, does overhead push-ups, like handstand push-ups, stops, lowers his legs, sits back through, sits back down, continues the conversation. Like
he's a machine.
It's like a Bruce Lee or something like that kind of move. Like
He was big into it.
Yeah.
He loved Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
He loved. One of our trips, he got into like throwing stars and
oh my god,
like ninja stars and throwing knives, and.
We would carry those.
Dude, well, we flew out on a NALO, so a Navy flight, to the West Coast to go do a dive on the Dallas, I think.
No, that was La Jolla.
La Jolla, you're right.
Because then we did the stuff out at
that's where you almost died. That was where we almost died.
That's where I almost died.
And then
where I did, and I came back.
Okay, fair. And then but the funny part of the story, not that you almost died.
No, but we did the OTBs. Remember we took the ribs all the way to that was a long ass. God bless boat guys, man. Those guys are absolute maniacs.
Yeah.
So divers and boat guys are there's just hard as woodpecker lips. Anyway, we drive all the way hell out to San Clemente Island to do OTBs. Leave Brad on the pier because Brad's nickname is Brad was a mattress. Like he's a man that can mattress. He can fall asleep anywhere. And Brad's sleeping on the pier.
That's a gift.
Yeah, I don't have it as much anymore in my older age, but yes, it was early on. I was a heavy sleeper.
Anywhere.
So we go do all that,
anytime.
and this is where you and I linked up again. Was in Fallon. So Danny and I are flying. Danny Harris and I are flying from San Diego to Reno to drive to Fallon to do the JTAC stuff, where I helped you with the qual. I got Danny back on the radio to do some calls. We're trying to leave the San Diego airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
His bag goes through the scanner.
he'd forgotten. He brought the knives in his computer bag on a Navy flight. We're leaving on a commercial flight. We're all there in security. And the TSA, this is, I mean, 2004. So like
Yeah,
9/11's pretty fresh still.
No,
And
05. Was it 05?
It's right before we
It was 05.
deployed.
Right
So
before,
either
yeah.
way,
Yeah,
the
2005.
TSA agent like comes over, grabs Danny, pulls him aside. We're all standing there like, what's going on? And he goes, excuse us, sir. Did you think we wouldn't see it? And then he goes, see what? And they open his bag and they start pulling out
All these knives.
ninja stars and throwing
Like
knives.
ninja stars.
Like, I mean, it was ridiculous.
We're not talking like the ones you get out of like bubblegum machines. Like these are like
Not like one or two. I mean, he must have had like 20 in there.
and he looks like he could be a ninja.
Yeah.
yeah, he
Like
does
his
look-
face and everything.
He's
got,
all
like,
into
the
Bruce
little-
Lee and everything. And
That's
you
so
just see him, he's
funny.
like, oh, this is hilarious. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot those were in there. It's okay. I'm a Navy SEAL. He tried.
Drop the
he
S
tried
bomb.
to like,
yeah, drop the
yeah.
S bomb on him.
tried to schmooze him over. They're like, no, sir.
And I remember because the police officer, like the security, the police come up, and the officer shows up. His last name's Geary. I think all were in there. And he was having none of it. Anyway, we waggled through there somehow. It's Danny Stars.
But we got him through security. They confiscated everything, but they charged him with a felony. And what's wild about it is, you're right, it was 05 because he had to go back to go to court.
That's right.
And he died on that deployment. And so Patsy now is a brand new surviving spouse. They were literally sending her court summons notices from California
Yeah.
saying like, hey, you got to appear in court, blah, blah, blah. She writes back like, yeah, he's dead. It was wild having to deal with that. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, but
like
he
one
goes
more
through-
thing you need to deal with is a surviving spouse in that moment, you know?
Yeah, Danny going through security, like, so you think we wouldn't find them, huh? You know why we're here.
That should be put into a movie.
Oh, my God.
Well, and then we showed up with you guys.
We were laughing so
hard. And with you and Fallon. Remember we linked up because Sluff Kinney was the 06 helicopter guy in charge of the
That
Top
was a
Gun.
great time.
Oh, that was a great time.
I mean, a freaking great time.
Yeah. And so we go, Marcus and I are, taking long guns out and, shooting Hawks and tanks, doing sniper work out of helos.
Out of helos.
we're
Wrote the
qualified.
manual.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we landed and got the skipper, got Sluff Kinney, who's just an awesome man. Got him on the gun, shooting out there on
God, dude,
one
that
of
was so much fun. I got stuck out there for a month.
Yeah.
Right before you had showed up, Ryan Owens was out there with me.
Oh, nice.
Coleman was there. That's when I really got to know him.
Nice.
We had a blast. The Air Wing was there to pull us into the BOQ or the
O Club.
O Club. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think if I ever drank that much in my entire life.
Yeah, because we went there.
Awesome.
We brought Danny and I
We're
think Harrison
popular
Cummings.
guys.
Well, and there was the air wing gets swapped out, so they find out these guys are e-dogs. They're like, no, listen, man, in here.
Yeah, yeah. When they found
like-
out, and
like
I'd
it-
been in there for a month.
I was like, no,
That's funny.
we're gonna be all right. They're like,
Because Ryan goes, I got a great idea. So we'll get past it. And we went down to the shopette and bought one of the Top Gun hats that had the scrambled eggs
Nice.
on the top of it, and I'd wear that around.
Dude, that's it. 100%.
Yeah. I got written up for impersonating an officer, but it's okay now though. Yeah,
yeah,
Well, now you're a 2023 honorary.
yeah. Now I'm an honorary grad, so
yeah,
they backfilled me.
it's okay.
You get rid of
It's
all.
okay.
Yeah.
you put on
Wipe the
JG.
record.
Dude.
Yeah,
Expunged.
dude, that was Dizzle's idea. Freaking, we park in the general's parking spot, dude. And God, I can't believe we're talking about this. Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, and you and I had talked, because you guys, the decision was made who was going where. So the first half of the cruise, I was going to be in Iraq. Was
Yep.
me and Jeff,
Mhm.
Harrison, Oz,
Yep.
and then Ben, Johnny, and I. You had already gone.
Yep.
Mac and Danny were all going to Iraq.
Afghanistan.
So-
Afghanistan, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Real quick on that, a lot of people do not understand.
Yeah.
They think that the whole team was Team 10.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a little confusing because the book says it has in Lone Survivor, it says Team 10
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
But in the book, it talks about SDV. It goes into
Yeah.
detail about
confusing.
Danny
Hard to
being on
explain. It's
SDV
just-
too.
It
All right,
is.
so let's think about it this way.
Yeah.
See if I can give me a sport. Name a sport that you like.
Baseball.
Okay.
Swimming.
It won't work for some.
I know.
Well, I could actually.
Pickleball's on the rise.
So
It is.
let's talk
It's the
about
hottest.
the All-Star team, right? So, and on this All-Star team, this baseball team, we'll call them the Houston Astros because I don't want to get beat up
Yes,
this
thank
close
you.
to town.
Yeah.
Anyway, so on this All-Star team, right? So I've got a team that I want to put forward to be an All-Star team. I need certain things on this team,
Mhm.
right? And with SDVs at the time, since there was no undersea mission, what we brought was snipers, JTACs, communicators,
Constant.
long range reconnaissance guys, and some badass mission planners. So we could do those things. We were good. Like, so, you know, Jeff was a sniper. Jeff Steffi was a sniper. I was JTAC. Oz was just a sled dog. And Harrison was a communicator. He was the other communicator. Tinsley was.
Yep.
And we got attached to SEAL Team 4 and SEAL Team 10 in Iraq for their all-star team. So as part of that task unit or task force, TU Central, Todd Veazey was the Team 7 SEAL. God, I love him. So on the compound in Iraq, we had Team 7, Team 4, Team 10, STV Team 2, STV Team 1, right? Because Garrett was over
y'all
there.
had half of our squad too.
Yep.
It's like borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Well, it's making this all-star team, right? So you have I have this thing that needs to happen. I need to win a baseball game. I need outfielders. I need infielders. I need pitchers. I need catchers. I need designated hitters. I need a bullpen, right? So imagine, you know, in Afghanistan it was the same deal. I think it was 10. I don't think 7 was there. We had Team 5 and Team 7 in Iraq, but I think it was all
Team 10.
It was all Team 10 and STV Team 1, STV Team 2. So
And Dev Group was in Afghanistan as well.
so they built their all-star team in Afghanistan out of Team 10, STV Team 1, STV Team 2, and probably some elements every now and again from the development group or other bolt-ons. So yeah, a bulk of and I think the leadership there, I think why am I blanking on his name? He was a detailer, Pero. Ken Pero?
Yeah. Harold.
Yeah. All the time. Awesome. All the time in the world for Captain Pero. So that's what composed that. So yeah, it was.
I mean, great dude.
Absolutely. 100%. So that's what built that team. And, you know, there's a lot of guys from Team 10. But the kind of the specialty, you know, the way that was comprised, you have JTACs, communicators, snipers, reconnaissance guys, right? And you get Team 10, you know, so look at those guys, formative stages of my life. When I was a midshipman, when I was a junior at the Naval Academy, when I was, you know, dealing with anger management issues and whatever, Mike McGreevy was a 97 grad. He was an upperclassman of mine. Had it not been for Groove, I probably wouldn't have made it through school. 2 things he did. He taught me how to box, which was awesome. And he also taught me how to not be a jerk because Mike was just always cool. Anyway, so like Mike McGreevy was a Team 10 guy. We had actually done the PSD, like everything we needed to do to be qualified for deployment. Mike was I was in one of the classes with him. So Groove, you know, was in Team 10. Eric Christensen, you know, came in with us at SEAL Team 8 when he was a brand new guy. He was going to be a platoon commander at Team 10 or troop commander, whatever it was he was going to be, but he needed to go through land warfare. And he came with us to Fort Chaffee. And Tom Rhino. And remember Eric, he's a monster. He was huge man. He may have been 6'6". He may have had a wingspan of like 8'6". It was huge.
Gosh.
And he was the happiest.
Volvo station wagon.
He was the happiest lieutenant in the world because
always had that grin on his face.
Always had that shit-eating grin. We gave him a 60. We're like, you're a machine gunner. You're going to carry 1,000 rounds of ammo in every op. All you're going to do with land warfare is be a heavy weapons guy. Can you do that?
His dad's an admiral.
He's like,
Wasn't he one of your
absolutely.
buds instructor?
No.
Oh, I thought
We went through
Rhino
STT
was-
together.
Okay.
And so that's when Eric bolted on to us. So anyway, and you know, Jacques Fontaine, he was like a second platoon guy at Team 8 when I was a new guy. You know, Jeff Taylor was a new guy at
I was in buzz with him.
Yeah, he came in. He shows up at the team, and they had like the Trident ceremony. I think you guys, wasn't Jeff a corpsman?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure was.
He shows up at the command already with the Trident, and I'm behind him. And I'd heard he was from West Virginia somehow. I was like, I guess I'll let Hillbillies do anything. And if you knew Jeff, he'll fucking fight anybody. Sorry for my language, Jerry. He will fight anybody.
Anytime.
He's like, what'd you say? I was like, I'm from West Virginia, jerk. I can say those things. He's like, yes, you can. Anyway, we were homies from then on. So, but a bulk of the folks that were there were Team 10, and you know what we brought to the table were
there was more
strategic
work.
enablers.
There was more work. It was still early on in the war. There's just more work than we had
Yeah.
bodies for, and so it was like every chance you could get to hodgepodge anyone who would volunteer to go out and augment these other forces. The community said absolutely.
Everybody was hungry.
Everyone was hungry. Wanted to get to the fight, and they needed us in the fight. The downsides are things we know now that we look back and it seems so obvious is like there's a problem with that. We now talk about unity of command effort. We've learned and relearned these lessons over and over and over that the more times you can have that unity of command effort where you've trained together and you deploy together, you just have a little bit cleaner operations, whereas sometimes you're just talking past each other. If Team 10 was raised a certain way and SCV Team 1 was raised a certain way and SCV Team 2 was raised a certain way, while similar, there's always going to be micro differences, and so that can create problems on the battlefield if we're not as efficient as we could be. So it's one of the things that I think the lessons learned that came out of Red Wings was, hey, we probably shouldn't hodgepodge these groups anymore.
Us.
Yeah.
Micro details when we fall on those, because attention to detail is everything for us. But
That's right.
There's little discrepancies.
Yeah.
And they're not even really discrepancies. It's just like something you had to do a certain way from how you grew up, man.
Yeah.
It would get us.
It would. And with a force like NSW, a lot of times you can work through those and most people watching from the outside wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
Like it looks seamless to them. But inside the force, you feel it, you see it, and it creates these hiccups and these pauses sometimes where we're talking past each other. And so we continue to relearn it. Most recently with the Niger incident, it was SF, but same idea. And that was really only like 8 or 9 years ago now, I think. And the comprehensive review that came out of that one was, guys, how many times do we have to keep relearning this unity of command effort, one team, one fight, resist that urge to like piecemeal people from other units, just to get it done.
So what were your last memories with Danny?
So my orders got screwed up and I wasn't going to get to deploy with the boys because they were shipping me out to Monterey to do my post-grad degree. So I was pretty frustrated about that because you do the workup you want to deploy, and I'd done all this SR work with Danny. And
we were not happy about it.
No one was happy. And
we all made fun of him because, he was quitting on us.
Yeah.
But
so that's like the worst thing in the world as a teammate, to be like, everyone's making fun of being a quitter.
You'll get picked on so hard for something that's not in your control.
Oh yeah.
That's the worst thing that can happen to you.
Yeah.
Like you didn't pick that. You got selected to go do it. And the guys know, and that's when you'll really get it.
Yeah. Cause then you start self-doubting too. Like, did they really think I'm a quitter?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the worst. Like, fuck, dude.
And then they're making fun of you. You're not.
When we cleared the slate, we got the forum now. We've been wanting to do this for years. Yes, we thought you were a quitter.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Complete transparency.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, I just realized too, and I don't know why we got this far into it, and I forgot. We talked about my retirement earlier. I am still active duty, although I have retirement orders. So I do need to clarify that everything I say in this entire episode is my own opinion, not representative of the United States Navy or the Department of Defense.
We'll patch that back in the beginning.
But so
we're still under the thumb too. So
yeah, there's I take risk even now, but this is worth it. So I ended up, they said, well, how about this? We'll augment you. You can augment DEVGRU out there. They're in Afghanistan. You can go do, because they were doing shorter pumps back then. Like they're doing like 3-month pumps. So I said, you have time to go do that and still execute your orders to Monterey. And so I said, that's awesome. I get to go downrange and at least be in Afghanistan. Like, thank you. So I ended up being there earlier than all you guys, but I was right up the street. Our compound was right up the street from Siege of Sodif. And so I'm sending them notes like, this is what it's like, don't worry about this, but do worry about that, pack your stuff. And then
as a quitter, but anyway.
Yeah. So then Danny and the boys get there. And so I'd walk down the street and we'd go to the Green Bean Coffee and just have coffee together and talk about our different observations. What are you seeing on the Siege of Sodif side? What are you seeing on the DEVGRU side? Danny and I would compare notes because being both dudes who had just for finishing our second platoon, all of a sudden screening for DEVGRU became like on the table for us.
Maybe that big pull too.
Yeah, and there was a big pull because they were going to be standing up the 4th Squadron soon, and so they were actively looking, I think, about that point. And so Danny and I were comparing notes and talking about like, yo, what do you think? Here's what I'm seeing, and and then that was my last memory of him was having coffee at the Green Bean Coffee together in Bagram, and then I ended up popping out to Asadabad. They let me go out there and roll with the outstation. Alex Oliver was the team leader out there from Red Squadron. Really good dude. I was a brand new lieutenant, and just having him and guys like Jeff Bull was there to just sit and learn from is a pretty new officer still,
Those are good
pre-platoon
dudes right there.
command.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these tactical legends
Oh, he's a great dude.
and just learning, like, what can I learn? What can I learn? And as we were talking about earlier, I was in the room when Ollie came in and said, "Hey, I just turned down an op. They asked us to go do this thing up in this area." And I said, "Hey, there's no way that it's too remote. We know that area, and there's no way to roll in there without getting compromised." So I remember him saying vividly, I told them if they want to JDAM everything that looks like a cave, we'll go do SSE and look for the HVI there. But other than that, we're not sending a recce team in there because they're going to get rolled up. And again, I'm a brand new O, and I was like, oh yeah. It's like, this is what professionalism looks like. The ability to like say no, even though everyone wants to go do an op. And so then my rotation finishes. I come home early to find out the orders were actually, it wasn't a screw up. I could have deployed with the boys. And so, but I was home already, so they just kept me home. And then it was shortly after that we got the word about Red Wings going down. And I started piecing it together and realized, oh, dang, that's the very op that Ollie just turned down. Like, how'd that happen?
Hmm.
And then I had taken half of the comms gear to Iraq with me. Remember those big ass boxes that had like, you take the foam out and drop your emitters in, and your, PSC 5 Charlies and Deltas and all your kicks and everything. So, and headsets. And I was messing with Danny. I was kind of messing with him, but I was kind of mad at him because my inventory never matched up to all the crap that I had. Because I went there as I was JTAC number 1. I was deployed. I was deployed to in Iraq at the time. So I got all the radios, and I was always messing with him, on Webby, or remember doing Webby the other day, doing little Webbies and busting his chops, making fun, and he and Mac hung out a bit together. So
Yeah.
I was like, you tell Danny this thing's still screwed up. I'm still looking for X, Y, or Z, and Danny right back. So we finally got on the phone. Like, one of our last memories on deployment was me talking to Danny, giving him a hard time. And then I was actually on the phone busting his chops when I found the last thing that I said that wasn't there. I'm like, all right, it took 3 months, but your inventory's good. He's like, F you, sir. I was like, well, at least you said sir. And then, we just called up, and that was it.
Everything's okay if you tack that sir on the end of it.
Everything's okay. I said with all due respect.
Yeah, that's all due respect.
But before deployment, I think last memory I have was of the platoon. We all did a pre-deployment like dinner at this Greek restaurant in Norfolk called Orapax.
Was I already gone?
You were already gone.
Because I don't remember.
You were already
Yeah,
quit.
okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure it
You
wasn't
weren't
on
invited.
TVI. Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't there. But I remember, I think Danny and I may or may not have snuck a bottle on there. We're making our own drinks, and of course the guys knew we were doing it. But I remember when I'm pretty sure it happened this way. On the way out of there's one of those glass top Pac-Man machines, and we see
The sit down one.
sit down. Yeah. We see Steph Osler, Steve Osler's wife. Actually, were they married yet?
Yes, I think so.
No, they weren't. They didn't
No?
get married yet.
Really?
They got married in 06.
Oh,
This is
gosh.
05, so it was
Okay.
a year before. They got married a week before Laura and I got married in 06. Anyway, Steph and Steve were going to get married. Didn't really matter. But Steph's sitting there at the Pac-Man table, and we saw her sitting there. We're all just, we're all saying goodbye because we were about to, divide and conquer, split forces. And I don't know why this is just a random team buy story, but it's kind of fun. We're watching Steph, and then she's still playing. It's just like, how many quarters is she pushing into this thing? We walk over to it, and the score is like 685,000. It's just like, and Pac-Man's moving like 1,000 miles a minute, and then she just stopped playing. She had like 17 Pac-Mans across her. She had plenty of lives left. We're like, what in the hell was that? She's like, I was a Kansas State champion for Pac-Man in 1984. We're like,
What? Who
random
does that?
bullshit.
That's funny.
Tell me a random qual you have.
Yeah.
But that was
That's
interesting. That was the last time we were all together as
Other
a
than me,
platoon,
because I'm the quitter.
because she's the quitter.
Yeah.
So that's the last time we were there as a platoon, and then on the 28th of June, Mario and I were good buddies. Mario was
Great dude.
he was my wife's classmate at the Naval Academy, class of 99. I mean, 98 plus 1. Anyway, he was a 99 guy. And I'd known Mario since we boxed together. Like he's a really good boxer. He's the kind of guy he's a reason why I was a heavyweight boxer, because Mario had really fast hands and I didn't get hit in the face a lot. Although I was really good at blocking punches with my face, as you can see by my beauty. but that night we're just planning a regular. We're doing a convoy from the Route Irish to the Green Zone, from BIOP. So from the airport in Baghdad, we're driving from there, and every time you get on Route Irish, it could be interesting. So we plan it like you need to plan it. We're going over there for some key leader engagement, and I walk out of the space. We're going out to the gun trucks, get them up, get ready. Mario and I were really good about, and Brad and I were really good too in the platoon. One thing we never did in front of the men was have disagreements. If we need to talk about something, we went and talked about it. Got it sorted out, came back.
That's how you know you got a good officer.
Nope,
we had a good team, man. It was a really good crew. Because, I mean, even you say that, and there weren't even a lot of disagreements. I mean, every once in a while,
we only disagreements I have were with Dick Suzuki, Rich Suzuki.
Z.
The Z, love him. Gotta love Z.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mario and I would do the same thing on deployment, because we would always get very specific tasking outside of like running mobility, where whatever, doing helo work, doing long range reconnaissance, whatever it was, like we would be part of it. But if we had a problem, we would get it sorted out. And I walked out of the room, and Mario is walking from RPC, Rawandia Palace Complex. It sounds a lot more fancy than it is. It's just a bunch of run-down ramshackle shacks that we put plywood walls up in. And he was coming from the Jock, which is across the parking lot. He's like, "Hey man," we kind of had like a bona fide. He's like, we gotta have a discussion. And he said something like that to me. He said, "Hey, we gotta talk." I'm like, "All right, what do my guys do?" Or he'd be like, "What do my guys do?" He's like, "Nah, it's not that." He's like, "Come with me. Our boys are in a pinch." I'm like, "All right." I didn't know exactly what that meant. We walk across the gravel, and we walk into the ready room, and see ISR footage of mountainside on fire. I was like, and then and why am I blanking on his name? XO SEAL Team 10. He's my damn neighbor, JR Anderson, was running the jock floor for Todd Veazey at TU Central, and he was a SEAL Team 10 XO at the time. And that's when I learned that there's 4 guys missing, and there's a helicopter that went down. And we didn't know about Mike, Danny, and Axe and Marcus at the time, but we knew about the helo, and I knew the names because Jeff. I told JR pulled me in, gave me the list, and it was the first time I had ever lost anybody. And I walked anybody that I knew really well, really close, like. So I walked out in the gravel, and I looked up in the heavens, and I got to thinking. Like I said, Mike McGreevy was one of my longtime mentors. I would say probably one of the key elements of my success in my entire career was groove. And I walked out in the gravel and looked up at the stars, which were quite visible that night. And I was like, all right, Lord, if I was up there looking down and Mike was down here, what would I say to him? I would say, think well of me if we get back to work. And that's what we did.
Here's the thing. When you find something that actually works, you stick with it. That's why I've been using Cremo. You deserve freedom from sweat and stink, and Cremo's got it dialed in. 48-hour protection, smooth application, no residue, and the scents are next level. My everyday pick has got to be the Italian bergamot. I'm not kidding. I wear it literally every day. It's fresh, it's refined, and it just feels elevated. Like it doesn't scream for attention, but it gets noticed. My girlfriend's actually the one who mentioned it to me the first time, and now she is just as hooked as I am. What makes Cremo different is that multi-layered scent tech. It doesn't fade after a couple hours. You're smelling good all day from start to finish. So if you're ready to upgrade, go do it right. Head on over to Target or Target.com and check out Cremo's new line of antiperspirants and deodorants in Italian bergamot and Palo Santo. That's Target or Target.com.
and then we'll make it a little bit. So we still weren't tracking, what happened to the SR element yet. We weren't privy to it. I mean, it was like straight up River City on the comms, right? It was full lockdown. But we went out we found out later, but we absolutely took the fight to where it needed to be taken. We had a convoy out to Fallujah, and we bolted together 13 gun trucks and probably the greatest group of warriors I've ever been a part of. And it was Team 5, Team 7, Team 4, Team 10, SDV Team 1, SDV Team 2. And I think we had some Team 8 guys. Right? I think I did the math, and there was 8 different teams worth of men on ungunned trucks, linked up with Marines, and like we just did work for a full night's iteration in Fallujah. And then when we drove back, I remember the funny thing is, I remember the morning driving back, like the little gee-dunk, where people put all like the snacks and stuff. Mm-hmm. I hadn't brushed my teeth in like 84 hours. Like I had like mittens on my teeth. That's gross. You're scratching them off. And there was this thing of Listerine at the gee-dunk thing. I'm like, and it was the old school, like the yellow label, regular Listerine.
Hard.
Yeah.
That's the hard one.
But it wasn't Listerine.
Oh, it's a piss model.
Nice.
It was Jack Daniels.
Oh, I thought you said piss model.
It was like, my parents kept me drinking as overseas.
Wow.
But then we came back, and there was something that came out. I remember Sean came down, Sean Dudley, who I love working with. He was fantastic.
He's an absolute great human being.
Yep. I had Anthony Baker, Sean Dudley, Billy Gallagher. Those are the...
Oh, dude.
Chris Dominsic. Those are the guys. Like where I was there with the guys.
That's a hell of a stack.
Yep, and we're doing the things. But there was a report that came out somewhere that they had found the guys. But then we found out that was a fault. I called SCV Team 1's quarterback. They're like, no, we're not tracking that. Called SCV Team 2, Rich Suzuki. He's like, no, we're not tracking that. So that squashed that. And then a couple days later, we got the rest of the story. But there's one thing, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I do remember hearing tell that, your brother, when they was asking Morgan if he was worried about you, he wasn't worried. People were like, why aren't you worried? He's like, because I know he's all right.
Yeah.
That was David Goggins that asked him.
Really?
Yeah. They were at jump school, right?
Free fall.
Or free fall.
Yeah.
My brother and I absolutely have a superpower.
No, Dwayne and I are the same way. My little brother, we're really, really close. Being 4 and 5, with 5 kids, like we're basically raised by wolves. Like when my mom and dad were like, I can figure it out. But we had buddies, the set of twins. Scott and Andy Johnson were twin brothers that I ran track with in high school. These are just amazing runners, amazing individuals. But never play Pictionary with identical twins. Because there's nothing you can do. We go to play games with him. He draw like a line. He's like, oh, it's Eiffel Tower. Like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
We can tap into some resources.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, though, back to answer your question. The last time I saw Danny in person was at the Orapax, and whenever we're packing up our crap to palletize it and roll out. The last time I talked to him, I forgave him. It was funny. I forgave him for me effing up the inventory for all the communications gear.
That's the best way to really give an apology from team guy. You know what? I forgive you.
Yeah.
But you're the one that messed up. I do forgive you. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's never bring it up
You
again.
should have trained me better in counting these things.
Let's just bury that deep down.
gaslighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Guy code. That's how guys do it, man.
That's funny.
Were you able to go to the ramp ceremony or anything, or were you stuck in Iraq?
I was stuck in Iraq. Yeah.
That's
we were able to
nice.
get the SDV Team 1 guys. There was we got all, I think Dudley and Mario and the guys
Corey
launched out.
Yeah.
At the time, I was the only guy left in Baghdad because Jeff me and Harrison were in Baghdad, but Harrison was completely he got absolutely absorbed by Team 4 as a commo. And then Jeff and Oz were out in Fallujah. That's where we bumped into him again. We went out there for that op that night.
How long did you have to stay in Iraq?
I would have stayed there for the next 3 years had they let me, but I ended up leaving. I didn't go home for anything particular. My deployment ended.
You didn't get home for the funeral or anything?
Nope.
And what about you? When did you hear of everything?
So I was already home, like I said, and my wife and I were out with some friends. We had just had our oldest son. He was like 2, maybe 1.5. And I got a call. We were at the Olive Garden, randomly enough. And
Which is lovely.
It is lovely, lovely establishment. breadsticks and salad.
Breadstick
Axe
salad.
loves
Yeah.
Olive Garden. It's his favorite
It's great.
restaurant.
It's
Yeah.
great. Classic. And I get a call and it was just, hey, we don't know much other than their status unknown, but Danny was involved with the 4-man recce team. You need to get to Patsy's house like ASAP.
Mhm.
And so
You're the one they sent.
yeah. So me and my wife went, we dropped our kid off with some friends, real close friends. We're still friends with them today. And she and I just basically set up shop at Patsy's. And, there's not much to say. It's one of those like.
Did she already hear about it? Or did you?
She had heard, yes. They said
That's
we'd been notified,
Yeah.
and they told her that we were on the way. And
You dress up?
No. Just get there in civvies. Because it wasn't like no one, right? There wasn't
Well,
this wasn't a
confirmed
death
yet.
notification.
Yeah,
So it was
right.
just, everyone was still hopeful, and comms were not fluid back then, as you guys remember. So there's always this like, let's hope for the best. It's probably okay. It could be just bad comms, or, it's going to take, there's a lag in reporting. And so you start off by like, everyone's trying to just you reassure everybody that, hey, Danny's a spider monkey. He's hard as nails. Is going to be just fine. But then another day goes by and there's still no word. And then, he started to get squirmy. Then they flew in his family. So his mom and dad, and his brother and sister came in, and then they set up shop there. So every day, pretty much Amy and I would, I think the way I remember doing it was she would go straight to the house. I would go to work, get whatever intel updates I could, and then figure out what I could pass. And then I would drive to the house, and then we would stay there until everyone was ready to go to bed. Which, you're not sleeping much, is you're just too worried. And just day after day kept going by. I've said it before, people don't realize or they forget that we didn't get final notification till July 4th.
Mhm.
And so from June 28th to July 4th, that's a long time to just sit and hope and pray and talk yourself into, because then we started hearing the rumors. We think one's on the loose. Like, we think there's a survivor. And then, of course it's got to be Danny. That guy's a spider monkey. Of course he's probably dancing across the rocks like a mountain goat or something. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I look back, it's like, man, I should probably not have tried to reassure his family so much, but you're just holding on to anything you can for hope. Yeah.
Definitely do it that way.
And
I don't know what the right way is.
Yeah, but the tough side of that too is it's almost like there's a terrible accident. And you're like,
yeah.
I hope my there's a plane accident. Like your family's flying one day and there's a plane accident. Whatever it is, you're like, and hope that this person wasn't on there.
Yeah.
It's another way of saying hoping that person was. Like you're stuck in that conundrum of like,
It was a horrible. Yeah,
it's a horrible place to be.
Everybody wants their loved one to be the one that survived.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you don't wish that on anyone else, but I've told parts of this story about, we got the false report at one point. We thought they'd been all recovered. We were at a local diner with Steph Osler and a few others.
That's the report that came to us.
Yeah. And I remember getting the call from Z, and we're in there and he said, hey, all forces recovered. We're clean. And we're crying, and I mean, Danny's house was maybe 100 yards away. Like we were right across the street there. And I was like, oh yes. They said, don't go tell her yet. Wait till the final up check. And then 30 minutes later, hey, no joy. Bad report. You didn't tell her, right? Thank God, no. But we're a mess emotionally. Now we're crying again. And so it's just like that every single day. And then part of the story I've never told, but I think I'll tell it now, is the SEAL Foundation decided to pick up rental cars for the Dietz family. And so Dan Sr. and I went to the airport to pick up his rental car. And this was on July 4th. And we're there early evening. And I get a call as he's working it out with the guy behind the desk. So I step outside to answer the call, and it's my boss. And he said, hey, man, we finally got the final report. Danny's gone. Where are you? I said, I'm at the airport with his dad. He goes, you got to get back to the house. CO and chaplain are inbound. They're going to wait for you to get back with him. They'll be off in the shadows. Amy was already there, I think. And so then I get in the car, and of course, now I'm riding the 25 minutes back to Danny's house with his dad, and I know the truth. And I'm holding it together with everything I can, because I'm not allowed to be the one to notify him, but I'm carrying that weight on my shoulders. And I just felt like a shitty human being. Because,
Dude, that's a scenario to make movies of.
It's an impossible scenario.
Yeah, holding on to something like that.
And then you're guilty. You feel guilty for it afterward because it's like he deserved to know, but did he deserve more than anyone else to know early? No. So I held it in and I didn't tell him. And the only reason I can say that now is because he's passed recently, unfortunately. He and I maintained a very good relationship over the years, I think. And I never wanted to let him know that I knew that because I think it would have broken his heart a little bit. So we get to the house and I see the CO and the chaplain in the shadows. And I was like, hey, Dan, go on in. I'll be right in. And he walks away and I'm just like, whoa, okay, let's go. And so I felt even shittier then because I just was with him. He goes inside and then there's a knock. They all come back and now I'm standing there with the guys in uniform. And everyone knew at that point, and you could see it. You could see it in their faces. You just remember these moments of like screams. The women were screaming, his mom and his sister, Patsy, everyone was just, yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
Wasn't his dad a SEAL?
No.
Oh,
no.
I thought he was.
No. He put together a foundation years later where he was helping young dudes who were interested in becoming SEALs, like taught us
that.
Yeah.
Or was it Shane Patton's dad?
He was a SEAL for sure.
Somebody's dad
Shane's dad was
a SEAL.
Yeah, Team 2.
Eric tried to become a SEAL. Eric Dietz, Danny's younger brother. I tell you, two dudes could have been twins born years apart. I mean, same mannerisms, same wiry body, and just as tough as Danny. But it was crazy. Unfortunately, Eric had been in a massive car accident years before. In fact, when we were on our trip to Dubai, we had to send Danny home early because Eric, they thought he was going to die. Ended up getting multiple things fused, lots of pins and bolts in his body. And so later on, Eric decided he wasn't going to follow in Danny's footsteps after he died, and couldn't get him across a medical waiver. There was too much hardware in his back. But a couple of us wrote letters of rec trying to really.
You already got to be in to get.
You really do. Yeah. And we were trying hard. Like, he comes from good stock. Like, the Dietz DNA is good. Like, he can do it. We tried everything we could, and the Navy was just like, absolutely not. But yeah.
It's almost like you want to sneak them through and then backfill the paperwork.
I know, right? Like, just hide the X-rays of the hardware.
Yeah. Don't.
You could probably get away with that 30 years ago.
Yeah, not now, but anymore. Back then. Yeah.
Don't go to the dentist. No X-rays of anything. Nothing.
Just
no
freaking nothing.
Yeah.
We recently saw In Waves and War.
I can't wait to see. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
There's a snippet of the funeral in there, and Patsy talking at the funeral, and just bawled my eyes out.
She's a powerful woman.
Yeah,
that was unheard of, and no one ever did that. And in fact, I'll never forget. She asked me. She said, "Hey, they're asking every surviving spouse to have someone speak at the memorial for their husband or for the fallen teammate." And she said, "What do you think if I do it?" And Amy, I'll never forget, Amy and I are looking at her like, that would be incredible. If you can do it, that would be incredible. No one's ever heard of that happening. Mm-hmm. And she said, "I really want to do it, but I don't know if I'll be able to push through it." So she said, "Will you be my backup? And will you have something ready to go in case I just can't do it in the moment? And then you just step forward and take it." I said, "Yeah, 100%. So if you watch the video, you'll see me behind her. I escort her up, and I was her backup. And thank God she didn't need me, because I think she was way stronger than I would have been in that moment, and just crushed that speech. Yeah. It wasn't a dry eye in the whole auditorium. That was a hard one, man.
I just saw it for the first time the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard.
Yeah, so this being the 20th year, 20th anniversary, there's a big...
That's wild.
It's crazy. And I met Marcus 5 years after Red Wing, right before the anniversary. I mean, I was at one of the first events. We had been dating for 2 weeks, and for the Lone Survivor Found the very first gala, and they're all there. The Dietz family, the Axelsons, so many family members were there, and I had no idea who they were. I had no, because I was brand new.
Yeah,
and
you have no context.
It wasn't until months later when I realized who I had just sat down next to, and I've always looked up to all of them. And I've always been so embarrassed of that first night because I had no idea of the whole situation.
The Red Wing Widows are powerhouses.
And they're
freaking powerhouses, man.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing group of women. All of them are amazing ladies. And they're...
You talk about some protection, man. They've always been good to me, taking care of me.
They are such good people. And they took a horrific event and poured back into the community in so many ways and helped us through some hard years to come. When extortion happened, they brought in all the Gold Squadron wives. I was still forward deployed, and my wife was going in, and she grabbed Patsy. She's like, come with me. So Patsy was in the room. I don't know if they realized she was in the room yet. And it was pandemonium because nobody knew how to respond to this scenario. And the way my wife tells it is that some of the spouses were very emotional, understandably so. And some of them were just in their fear and grief. They're saying, hey, bring the rest of the guys home. And I guess the story goes, Patsy basically stands up and in front of Pete Van Hoosier, who was the CO at the time. She says,
our bullfrog, right?
Yeah. Oh, Pete Van Hoosier's the man.
He was CO when Red Wings
weird.
happened.
Oh, yeah.
Super weird, right? The Commodore Group 2 when Red Wings happens, and then he's the Dev Group commanding officer when extortion happens.
And God put him there for a reason, man.
He's like the grandfather of our generation of guys. He's just a stud. And I mean, a warrior poet, but Patsy stands up in the meeting, and the way it's been relayed to me is she says, everyone stop. What needs to happen right now is everyone stop making requests like that. You keep the men forward. They need to see this to the end. Then they'll come home to you and they'll be okay. But if you bring them home now, it's not the answer.
Unfinished business.
It's unfinished business. And I can't remember everything she said. I'd love to hear it from her. But the way I understand it, it was immediate calm across the room because she just brought like this anchor to the conversation of like experience. And so you have this surviving spouse who lived this, who's now telling you all, this sucks. We're going to get through it. Yeah. Let me help you. And I remember my wife said, Pete Van Hoosier was just like, thank you for being here, Patsy. Because there's no playbook for those things. Yeah. All those spouses have had moments like that probably most of us will never even know about, how they just continued to help our community through.
I feel like, Patsy and the other ladies have been instrumental in all of the guys that haven't made it home in whether it was right after and helping the families or even years after. She's all of them, Patsy and all the other ladies, are so good at honoring the guys, keeping their memories alive, and they've really set a precedent for that.
Yeah, well, we were King Leonidas didn't choose the 300 because they were the best warriors. Yeah. He chose them because they had the best women. Yep. Yeah. He knew that they were all going to die, and the only way Sparta would survive is if the women were still there to bring strength to a nation that needed it. So same deal. Like these are the kind of,
it really is.
These kind of people. You'd be like Patsy Dietz, Tracy Tapper, like the list goes on.
I love
like
Tracy. Yeah.
Like it's just absolute. People that I look up to still, right? So
it's a club you never want to be a part of, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
But man,
entry into it, not easy.
Fierce. That's the hardest crucible ever, and you can see the strength it produces. Back to our conversations earlier about we're such a great community because we suffer so well together. There's something to that with the spouses. Widows, man. There's something to that with them. Yeah.
Well, I never thought about it this way, but I'll drag Laura into this because she and Patsy they were friends already, but that helped. Laura was still in the military, right? So she kind of, some of the nuances that were untranslatable, she helped with Patsy. But Laura and I, before that deployment, we had just been boyfriend and girlfriend for like a year. we had met just after our trip to UAE. Actually, I may or may not have like made a phone call to her from the beach of UAE and talked for like an hour and a half. And I'm talking to a girl that she'd like pick up trucks, country music, and dogs. Like I made a decision on that beach.
Good
And for
go.
driver, that
Kind of made up.
was going to marry her.
Yeah.
But on that deployment,
Unicorn in the stable.
right?
And a helicopter pilot.
And a helicopter. Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
And,
Yeah.
and when this went
No big
down,
deal.
and a swimmer, right?
Yeah, and a swimmer.
Probably her
Who started with swimming.
that's her least favorable quality. But the but point being is that, you know, when this went down, you know, it's when you're faced with your own mortality, right? Was it I've decided that I was going to marry this girl and that was it. There's nothing to be done.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't going to let another day pass without her being with me forever. So I also learned a lesson after that, made a decision. And my buddy of mine, you may remember Russ Tate, maybe not. I think Tater may have been. Yeah, Tater was there because his legs ended up breaking and he couldn't finish up buds. But Tater's wife worked at her mom worked at a jewelry shop, and I got a ring sent to me.
Dude, Mr. Tate, I hadn't heard that freaking name in a
Tito,
minute,
he's
bro.
a man. Anyway, that ring showed up and was in my pocket, and I was like, I got it. Like, and one of my friends said, as soon as that thing shows up, you're gonna want to get rid of it. And I got rid of it, and she said yes on August 18th of that year. We had just gotten back.
Of 05?
05.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep. And anyway, that strength of we're back to the strength of those ladies.
Yeah.
Where they are and what they've done for us to be as examples.
Yeah. And you're forced to have conversations in our line of work, or in any high risk line of work. You're forced to have a different kind of a relationship where it's mutually supportive, and you have to go layers deeper and have conversations that I guess normal people don't ever have about death, risk, what ifs, all the what ifs, and the planning for that, and then the emotional preparation for it, and then the goodbyes and the uncertainty, and then the awkward hellos as well. All of that forges not just fierce warriors, but fierce women. And it keeps coming back to suffering. I think this is why. It's not a mystery formula. I mean, this goes back to scripture. Suffering produces endurance produces character produces hope. It's almost like all the answers are right in this book. You know, what we have to do is read it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why our community continues to produce these incredible human beings, men and women, is the suffering we endure together, and the teammanship it builds, and the relationships it builds, both as a team and as married couples.
Yeah.
Because they're still here.
Yeah.
They're still here. Like,
Yeah.
they don't, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what have you created? They're a SEAL. They become a SEAL in that moment. I mean, all that pain and suffering all tucked into one shot.
Yep.
You see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
I got back, each one of them individually would call and check on me and, you know, take me to lunch and just kind of genuinely watch out for me like sisters. There was a superpower there.
That must have been hard for you.
I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I don't remember which one of them it was, but she's like, you don't say anything. She's like, just sit there.
Just be there.
Just
I
be
think
there.
it was Patsy. Yeah, Patsy was really good.
Yeah.
Like when I got married to Marcus, because I'm like, how do we handle this? Like, it's a little awkward.
It's an impossible scenario.
Yeah, because we want to love on them, but at the same time, like some of the family members were mad at him. You know, like there was just this weird.
You never know what grief will do.
Yeah, you don't know how people grieve, but they showed us what to do and told us what
That's
to do
great.
and how to support. And it was just really, it's made a really good relationship.
Yeah.
I don't even say friendship. I feel like we are family.
Yeah, she'll rally him up down here. We'll all show up and we'll go to dinner.
Yeah.
And the same thing. I'll be saying, she's like, just sit there, don't say nothing. I'm like,
Yeah.
Roger that.
Well,
They just have the best time.
we've
Yeah.
had the girls out at my dad's ranch and just
Yeah.
had girls weekends.
That's
and
great.
then
I'm glad you guys do that.
yeah, I love it. But Patsy started this memorial for Danny.
Yeah.
I think it was 2009 was her first one. If I might be wrong on that. It was either 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
I met them June of 2010, and I remember there being an event right after the Lone Survivor Foundation thing, or maybe right before, like a rodeo.
Yeah. I remember I think it's when I first met you.
I was at the so I wasn't at that rodeo.
Okay.
I want to say it was in College Station,
Huh.
if I remember correctly, but that might be wrong. Anyway, this event has been going on a long time. So it was the next year. It was 2011 that I went to the first.
Okay, maybe that's when I met you.
I think that was probably the first
That was the first one I went to. That's right. Got these boots actually at that rodeo. Yeah, it's really cool what she's done with this.
It's so cool. And it's now moved from the Houston area to the Dallas area. But it's grown and grown and grown. And it's just really cool to see how it's not just Danny that she honors, which I mean, he's a huge part of it, but she honors so many, even guys that were killed in action after Red Wing. You know, it's just families of the fallen, really, that she brings together.
Yeah, and it's such a bigger thing than just...
it's way bigger, but this year it's May 23rd.
Yep, Memorial Day weekend.
In Decatur, Texas.
Yep.
And we
everybody show up.
Yeah, we're hoping that everyone listening comes or supports in some way. If you can't come, go online, and I think they have like a online auction or something to be able to support.
A lot of Charlie platoons coming in for that.
Yeah. Anyway, every year they put this event together and it's so cool. So this year there will actually be a lot of guys from SDV2 Charlie platoon, and then there will be a lot of guys that were involved in Red Wing from different branches. The Air Force PJs,
cool,
Green Berets that were on the ground to get Marcus, Travis Osborne. There's going to be just a lot of different guys. That helicopter that came in to actually extract him, that pilot. Just, it's going to be neat.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be neat how everyone's this. I think this will be the first time, other than that very first gala, the Lone Survivor Foundation gala. This will be the first time that so many different people are coming together for it.
It's wild to think it's been 20 years. And what a great, I know there's a lot of different memorial celebrations.
Old now. I mean, like flew by.
I don't know what happened because
2 decades,
it feels like it feels like
freaking crazy.
It feels like yesterday in so many ways. And then it's like, nope, it was a lifetime ago.
When you think about the first 18 years of your life, like it takes forever.
Yeah.
Last two decades been.
Yeah. Dying gets quick. Turning old and dying, man. I mean, they're already making movies and documentaries and stuff's in museums now.
Yeah. When the stuff that we rolled with early in the career ends up in the museums now, you know
that's how you know.
Okay, like we've turned a corner there.
So if anybody wants to go to the event, it's DannyDietzMemorial.com where you can get the info. It's a multi-day event. But anyway, I hope everybody can go and show their support, or if you can't, go online and do it, because the Dietz family, or Dietz Shipley family, they give back so much to other families, and
they really do.
Yeah,
I love them. And I'll be speaking at the event.
Yes, you're the speaker this year.
Yeah,
we'll see all y'all there.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
JD, you had one last funny Danny story.
I did. I was sitting there all of a sudden. I used the bathroom, and
came to memory.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about SDVs, and so we talked about people don't understand what SDV is. We kind of talked through that. So a DDS that SDV goes in is like a garage on the back of a submarine. So, and there's a rule in the DDS. So you're waiting for everything to be just right so you can launch, right? So sometimes you're out there hanging out and you haven't flooded up yet. So imagine it's a dry deck shelter. So, the term is it's dry inside at first. You get your SDV parked in there, it's dry. And you get out there and you got your rubber on, you're just kind of waiting. You usually have your sleeves off and it's around your waist. And then when it's time to flood up, fill the shelter full of water so you can open the door. Because we're in a submarine and we're underwater. We'll leave depths out of it, but we're at a certain place where it's safe to launch and recover from without having to decompress. Anyway, one of the rules is don't pee in your wetsuit until you flood up. Because there's something about putting a wetsuit on if you've been an STV guy or a SEAL or a diver or anybody who's done anything.
Or a surfer.
As soon as you get a wetsuit on, it's like, ooh, if I got to pee, I'll just go right now. You just don't pee in your wetsuit until you flood up. All right. Because
you'll jinx it.
But after it's flooded up, go ahead and have at it. It's kind of weird, but there's 12 dudes in 12 dudes, including the divers that are in the back there that are just, everybody knows everybody's peeing inside this tube full of salt water, making it saltier, a little bit warmer. It's kind of nice for a bit. But Brad, maybe you told me this, and maybe I'm way off bat, but the other rule is if you've got to take a dump, don't take a dump until the hangar door's open.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll be cleaning it up. And I think, are you laughing about the same thing? I think.
I'll tell the story if you're thinking of a different one, but
I'm thinking of the one. It was Danny.
Yeah. Okay. Was this the one where I bottomed out with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we were. Oh gosh, I don't remember where we were, but somewhere in the Med, I think. And we brought the SDV in. Dan and I were pilot nav. We bottom out. We send the SR guys over the shore to do something. So Dan and I are waiting. So what that means for folks is when we bottom out, we add all the water to the ballast tanks so we get heavy and we into the ground. So we're maybe 15, 20 feet deep, not bad. And we set anchors just in case there's any drift or current. And we're sitting there in the SDV, and Danny starts to squirm, and he squirms some more, and he squirms some more. And I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" And he goes, "I got to go to the bathroom." He goes, "How long till we get back to the sub?" I said, "Dude, I don't know, but a couple hours. I mean, a couple hour transit in, so we're probably still 4 or 5 hours from securing this dive." And he's like, "I'm not gonna be able to hold it." I was like, "What are you talking about? Just go." He's like, "No, it's number 2, Brad." And I'm pretty sure he used more different language than that, but so I was like, okay, that's awkward in a wetsuit. I don't know how you're going to do that. And so next thing I know, he's stripping down naked, and he's got his wetsuit. Before I know it, he's got his wetsuit down to his ankles, and all of his gear's hanging out and like floating up around him. He's a hot mess, like hoses, wires everywhere. And he opens the sliding door to the SDV, and he props himself up on the side of the SDV to try to take a dump out of the SDV.
We're underwater. 15, 20 feet.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's clear.
So everyone's clear. And you can't not look, So I'm like, that.
No, you got to look.
Well, so then I was like, I can't see this. Like, it's going to scar me for life. Because he's right there. I mean, especially he sits up on. I mean, it's literally like,
gosh,
your arms reach to all the stuff in the business right now. So I was like, dude, I'm going to hop out and I'm going to check the anchors. Like, I'm just going to stay busy.
I'm going to do some busy work while you're busy.
So I'm heavy, which means I got a lot of weight. So it's like a spaceman. So you're kind of, walking on the bottom, and I check the front anchor, looks pretty good. And as I'm walking to the back of the SDV to check the rear anchor, all of a sudden SDV takes off. So it's going out, and I'm connected with wires. And so I grab the side of it, and no kidding, this thing's like bouncing along the bottom. And I'm hanging on for dear life. We're going a couple knots where my mask is just like coming off my face. And all I hear is Danny screaming through the comms, help me, Brad. So I'm pulling myself up the SDV, and we're still going. And I grab the door and I pull myself in, and I see he had one leg hooked still inside the boat. The rest of him was all hanging outside the boat. His fin had kicked the potentiometer switch, the throttle, while he was like bouncing there doing his business. So this boat took off, and it was a runaway boat, and he's hanging on by one leg. And as I peek up, I see all his business just flopping in the current,
freaking hanging out.
Everything's hanging out, flowing with the water. And he's just screaming, help, help. Pull myself in. I hit the gas, and we just boom, 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 do a stop. It gets really, really quiet. And next thing I know, I just see him peek up over the door, and he goes, hey, don't tell anyone about this, okay?
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't want to ever talk about this again.
I was like, yeah, of course, Danny. Of course. The minute we got back to the sub, I'm like, you guys aren't going to believe what Danny did. SR guys got back. Like, is this in the same spot? Like, it feels like we moved a little. Danny's like, nope, same spot. This is right where we were.
Dude, I never heard that story. That's a good one. Thank God I never had to go to the restroom like that when we were out there.
So funny.
That is hilarious.
He was ridiculous.
Oh
ridiculous.
I wish I could have met him.
Yeah.
Well,
one day,
like a great guy.
I never thought about this until you just said that there. I would say you've met the best parts of him.
Yeah.
Danny is the kind of guy that, all those men, they were the kind of folks that made you be better people.
Yeah.
Right. And the backside of it, it helped me. And sometimes, in places where I would make a bad decision in life. It helped me that night when we finally found out, had the same conversation with the Lord. He's like, "No, man, you've got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Honor me through it." I hope it's made me a better dad. I hope it's made me a better husband.
100%.
Hope it's made a better friend.
100%.
And I hope my boys can grow up to be half the man that Danny was,
Mm.
because he's it. He's the reason, right? And it's fortunate, very fortunate. I was fortunate the Lord let me be part of his life.
That's probably one of the best things come out of it, right? There's so many examples for our children to look up to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I'm so glad you said that too, and I'm glad you replied the way you did, because it's like Patsy said in her emails. I don't know if she still does it, but her signature block used to say, "To live in the hearts of those you love is never to die," and things like this keep their memories alive.
Yeah.
And we just keep telling the stories so that we remember, and so that the next generation can take that and learn from it too. And so we all become better from these men who just were unimaginable heroes, who endured and suffered and gave everything. There's such goodness in it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Why don't
thank
you
y'all
just
for
stand
coming
there
on.
the
And
whole time?
our camera starts to go out after a certain amount of time.
It's glitchy.
Yeah.
Well, it's just dying.
Oh,
No, you're absolutely welcome. I mean, it's
Yeah.
thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming
great job,
on
guys. Thank you
and
so much.
Yeah. Really appreciate you both.
and honoring Danny and all the guys from Red Wing and all of the fallen. I think I mean that's one of the things, babe, that you've done for 20 years is
Yeah.
keep
Thank you
their
for that.
memory alive even when it was extremely painful for you.
I loved being a team guy.
We all
I
did.
freaking missed it.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. I mean, I get hurt. And I think those are the reasons. That's why it does hurt.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, man. God bless you. Great
yeah.
job.
God bless you
Thank
guys.
You too.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.